The House will come to order. Members, today's prayer will be given by Seth Rodenbeck. He is the clerk of the Alabama Court of Civil Appeals. He's also the founding director of Hope Schools Outreach here in Montgomery.
Let us pray. Lord, we thank you for this day. We just come to you, Father, humbled. We come to you acknowledging you as God, Lord, and we just humble ourselves before you and recognize that you are the ruler, you are sovereign, you are Lord over all things. And Lord, I pray for each member here in this house, Lord, that you would give them wisdom, that you would give them just great ability to get the work of this state done. Lord, we know that government is a gift from you to help rule and reign over man. And we just pray that each one would recognize that responsibility and steward it well and seek to honor you in all things. Lord, we love you. We thank you. We praise you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Members, today's Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Maddie Cook. She is a 10th grader at Fort Dale Academy in Greenville.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, call roll.
Mr. Speaker, Allman, Baker, Bedsole, Blackshear, Bolton, Boyd, Bracey, Brinyark, Brown, Butler, Carnes, Chestnut, Clark, Klaus, Collins, Colvin, Crawford, Daniels, Datcher, Drummond, Dubose, Estabrook, Ellis, England, Ensler, Estes, Faulkner, Fiddler, Fincher, Fort, Garrett, Gidley, Gavan, Gibbons, Gray, Hall, Hammett, Harbison, Harrison, Hassel, Hendricks, Hill, Hoke, Jones, Hollis, Hulsey, Hurst, Ingram, Jackson, Jones, Keel, Kirkland, Lamb, Lands, Lawrence, Lee, Lipscomb, Lomax, Lovern, Marcus, McCampbell, McClammy, Mooney, Moore M, Moore P, Morris, Oliver, Paramore, Pascal, Pattis, Pringle, Rafferty, Reen, Reynolds, Rigsby, Robbins, Robertson, Ross, Sellers, Sells, Shaver, Shaw, Shed, Shiree, Simpson, Smith, Sorrells, Stodhagen, Standridge, Starnes, Stringer, Stubbs, Tillman, Travis, Treadaway, Underwood, Wadsworth, Warren, Witt, Wharton, Wilcox, Wood D, Wood R, Woods, Yarborough.
Sixty members have answered roll. Quorum is present. The House is ready to transact business. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Lee, Representative Blackshear.
Thank you for the recognition, Mr. Speaker. At this time, I would ask to move that floor privileges be granted to the coaches and players of the 2024 State Championship Central High School Phoenix City Ladies Flag Football Team, please.
Any objections? Here, no objections. Permission is granted.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We'll wait till they get in, and we got a resolution for them, and this is what this group of young ladies has done is pretty spectacular, not only for our district. Jeremy and I split the city of Phoenix City together, Representative Gray. So if y'all come in and spread out, and we'll have a resolution and just want to recognize what they've done, not only for our city, but this state across the country. Yeah, y'all spread out with your. All right, first off, if you want to turn around and face them, they came in here earlier. There was nobody in here but me. Alabama, we're in a different time zone. They've done great things. If you remember, the AHSAA did a pilot program for 3 years, introduced flag football in the state of Alabama, and it really caught on really quickly. This past season for 2024 was the first time that was actually truly a sanctioned event at the AHS AA State Championship, and they actually won it this year. And you'll hear Clay when he reads the resolution. But not only did they win the first ever state championship, they also were named the 2024 Max Preps and USA Today national champions in flag football from right here in the state of Alabama. And let's give them a round of applause for that. Two of the ladies, one we're going to let her say a few things after the resolution, was actually named the first ever AO.com Female Flag Football Player of the Year in the state of Alabama. And her, along with another teammate and two coaches, represented the state of Alabama in Phoenix City and Central High School down in the Pro Bowl 2 weeks ago, because this all started in conjunction with the NFL. And their flag program. They had an AFC and NFC team that played the Saturday before the Pro Bowl. And the NFC, which was coached by head coach Mitchell Holt, won that game 28-0, and our Garrett Griggs was named the MVP of that game as well, too, on the national stage. So with that, it's grown here in the state of Alabama, where this fall 10 junior colleges in our state system has rolled out flag football as a sport at 10 of their junior colleges. And that's going to give young women in this state an opportunity to continue their education, but also to continue to play this great sport that they love. So, Representative Gray, anything you want to say? All right. May I ask for the resolution to be read, Mr. Speaker?
Clerk, say the resolution.
Whereas, with great pride, it is important to recognize outstanding accomplishments by our state students and athletes. And whereas the Central Phoenix City flag football team has achieved remarkable success by winning the Alabama High School Athletic Association State Championship in 2024, a testament to their exceptional skill, hard work, and dedication. And whereas this victory reflects the continued excellence of the squad, which has consistently placed among the top teams in recent years, including winning the AHSAA State Championship in 2023. And whereas this team has shown unrivaled dominance in their sport, in addition to winning the state championship, they were declared the 2024 Max Preps and USA Today NFL Flag National Champions for their undefeated season with a record of 19-0. Their dominant season extended their win streak to 37 games, while outscoring their opponents 833 to 49. And whereas several key players and coaches stood out during this season and earned special recognition, Garrett Griggs and Nadalyn Lumpkin were selected to participate in the NFL Pro Bowl Flag Football Showcase event. Head coach Mitchell Holt and assistant coach Troy Jackson were also selected to help lead the team during the showcase event. And whereas there are more than 24 outstanding members of the 2024 championship squad, they have been expertly coached and inspired by head coach Mitchell Holt, assistant coach Troy Jackson, Miranda Griggs, Tammy Taylor, Brent Bell, and Bailey Kiker. And whereas the achievements of this team bring great pride to their community, the city of Phoenix City, and the entire state of Alabama. Now therefore, be it resolved by the House of Representatives of the Legislature of Alabama that the Central Phoenix City flag football team is hereby commended and congratulated on their outstanding victory in the 2024 AHSAA State Championship.
Coach Holt, we go back a long way. Let's give him a round of applause real quick. I'm dating myself with this, but when Coach Holt was 13 and 14 and 15, he played on my basketball team. I tell people I was only a year older than him at the time. He was coaching youth at that time. But Coach Holt, look, thank you for what you've done. You're also the head softball coach. You've done a lot for female sports in this in this state. You dedicated yourself to it. We need more people like you in this state that really focus on female sports and really making sure they understand they're athletes just as well as the guys that put the helmets and pads on each and every weekend. So on behalf of all of us, Dr. Janet Sherrod, the school superintendent's here. Raise your hand. Coach Kerry McDonald, the principal. You can't miss him. He's in the security jacket over here behind him. I said if he gets out of hand, we see him. Congratulations, Coach Holton, if you want to say a few words. Thank you. We're going to let Garrett go first. This is Garrett Griggs, Miss Alabama football for 2024.
Good morning. On behalf of Central High School flag football team, I would like to thank Representative Blackshear, Governor Ivey, Mr. Speaker, and esteemed members of the House of Representatives for honoring us today. We are truly grateful for the opportunity to represent this great state of Alabama as state champions in this great country as USA Today and Max Preps flag football national champions. It is an honor to stand before you. We greatly appreciate your support of high school athletics, especially the rising sport of girls flag football. The opportunities in this growing sport are endless, and we are grateful to be pioneers in its growth at both the state and national level. Our efforts and success as a team has been recognized nationally, but this moment today is truly special. Standing on the steps of our state capitol one last time as championship team, knowing that our hard work and sacrifice are being recognized is once in a lifetime experience. My teammates and coaches are a special group of individuals that value relentless work ethic, selflessness, and importance of having fun. Anyone that has watched us play this season has acknowledged not only our incredible talents, but more importantly, our unique team chemistry. This unity has been built during many hours of practice with both successes and failures. We hope that others are inspired by how we compete for a bigger purpose, the purpose being our teammates. Although we are each very different individuals, we understand the value of using differences as strengths for the betterment of our team. Because of this mentality, we were able to succeed at the highest levels. Thank you again for taking the time to recognize our accomplishments and for your investment in team sports. We hope to continue to inspire young athletes with a team-first mindset and competitive spirit and use the valuable lessons that we gain from flag football to better those around us. Go Red Devils.
Thank you, Garrett. And if you're wondering, I know some may boo you, Garrett, but some will cheer you too. She's already signed a softball scholarship with the University of Alabama, where she will continue this fall. Coach Holt.
All right, I'll let Garrett go first. He's a little bit better speaker than I am. Representative Blackshear, Representative Gray, Mr. Speaker, members of the House, thank you for having us today. It's truly an honor as a history teacher, now driver's ed. This is a great experience for us all, something I never thought that we would be able to do. And the words "who would have thought" keeps popping into my head. In the summer of 2022, we went out on the softball field to have our first practice. And we reminisce about those days where we didn't have a clue, or the girls sure didn't have a clue what flag football was and the questions that were asked. And we keep saying, who would have thought? Who would have thought there would be 2 state championships involved? Who would have thought we'd receive, 2 national championship honors? Who would have thought that we would get to go to the Pro Bowl? And who would have thought we'd be standing here today at that first practice? But it's a testament to the teamwork of exceptional young ladies that came together and to learn a new sport, to give it a try. It was none of their primary sports, but they all decided to give it a try. And, Phoenix City, on the border over there, oftentimes I feel like we're the forgotten side of the state, to go out there and put us on the map and put the whole state on the map with arguably, and it's been written, the most dominant team in athletics in the state of Alabama. That was an article that was written, and it can be argued based off the scoring and things like that. I'm honored to be an alumni of Central High School, to be part of this group, and I thank the good Lord every day that I was able to be with this team for the past 4 years, and I look forward to where it can go. The NCAA just passed yesterday to allow the 3 divisions to make flag football an emerging sport, and after that they would need 45 teams in each level to make it a championship sport. And if you could have been with us at the Pro Bowl, the NFL is pouring their heart and soul into this sport. I expect it to be in the SEC and at the Division I level in the next couple of years. Thank you all for what you do for high school athletics and the support that you give financially and both here and representation in this house. We couldn't do it without you. Again, I've been doing this 21 years, and this is one of the biggest honors we've ever had, so thank you for having us.
All right, let's give them one more round of applause for your 2024 state champions and national champions, Central High School flag football. Thanks, brother. Thank you. Y'all want a picture?
Chair now recognizes Representative Stathagen of Morgan for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem. Request to suspend the rules for a resolution.
All in favor, you've heard the request to suspend the rules. All in favor say aye. All opposed, ayes have it. Rules are suspended.
Members, today is a happy, bittersweet day, as we heard before, from our beloved chairman and majority whip. I think there's a void after today that's going to be hard to replace and fill, because the member has given so much to us in guidance and direction, and people that, like myself as a freshman in 18, that could look up for to this is the bar you need to be a statesman, and that's what he is. At this time, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. This is not a day I really enjoy doing, to be honest with you. Randall Shedd has been a dear friend of mine from the first day I come into this body. And one of the things as Speaker I get to do is talk to people all across the state, and I talk to them about how good of men and women we have. Some of the best people I've ever met in my life I serve with in this chamber that fill the seats that's in it today. But one of the best I've ever served with is Randall Shedd. And when I ran for Speaker, I called Randall and asked him if he would do my nomination, because I respected him that much. And we're going to miss you, but we're proud of you. And we know whatever you do, God's led you in that direction. You're going to do an amazing job. Teresa and I are close to he and Deb, and certainly love them, and I want you to know that. And you may go work up in the Senate. You know, the elevation up there is a little higher than the Irish Center. Just bear that in mind. But we love you down here. And if I can ask any of the members in this chamber to do anything, I would say model yourself, the way you handle yourself and the way you treat people, the way Randall Shedd does. So with that, Mr. Chairman, we love you. Appreciate everything you've done for the state of Alabama. We're a better state because of you. You know, we would not be in the position we're in today where we ranked 22nd after coming from 47th in broadband if it wasn't for Randall Shedd. And we owe you a ton. And I know you did it out of love. You do it for the right reasons. It's not political. It's because you love this state. You love the people in your community. And you should be commended for that. So that being said, I'm going to turn it back over to Scott. But you know that we're always as close as a phone call. And from what I have served in the House over the past number of years, I'm pretty sure you're going to have to call us for working in the Senate to get back to reality, right? We love you, and the body respects you, and you're a good man. Thank you.
At this time, I would request for the resolution be read out loud, please, sir.
Whereas, with great pride and special pleasure, highest commendations are conveyed to Representative Randall Shedd for his constant and unwavering service to the state of Alabama. And whereas Randall Shedd started his journey at Wallace State Community College, following his graduation, he served as the director of the Coleman County Commission on Aging. From 1977 to 1985, he diligently led the Coleman County Commission as its chair. After his terms as chair and as a testament to his leadership abilities, he was elected mayor of his hometown of Fairview in 1996 and served 4 terms until 2012. And whereas in late 2012, the District 11 seat representing Blount and Coleman counties in the Alabama House of Representatives was vacated. Having already proven his ability to serve his local community, Randall Shedd was elected to fill the position in a special election. Representative Shedd was sworn in as a member of the Alabama House of Representatives on April 11, 2013, and has dutifully served ever since. And whereas Representative Shedd has held many positions while serving in the legislature, he is a member of the Legislative Council, the Joint Transportation Committee, the Permanent Joint Legislative Committee on Energy Policy, the Children and Senior Advocacy Committee, and the Sunset Committee. And whereas Representative Shedd quickly earned the respect and trust of his peers, evidenced by his many leadership positions in the legislature, he is the majority whip in the Alabama House of Representatives and serves as chair of the House Republican Steering Committee and the House Transportation, Utilities, and Infrastructure Committee, and co-chair of the Alabama Digital Expansion Authority and the Alabama Rural Broadband Oversight Committee. And whereas, never one to be idle, Representative Shedd serves as an officer in the House Rural Caucus and a member of the Sportsman's Caucus and the TVA Caucus. In recognition of his character and strong work ethic, his fellow Republican caucus members found it proper to bestow upon him the 2024 Iron Award, an award given to a GOP representative whose words, deeds, and actions build teamwork and help colleagues reach their full potential. And whereas Randall Shedd will freely admit that his greatest accomplishment in life is his family. He and his wife, Debbie, have 2 sons and 2 grandchildren. Randall and Debbie are members of Welcome Baptist Church. And whereas known for his tireless and unwavering service to the residents of Alabama, Representative Shedd is the epitome of fairness, honesty, and professionalism. This body knows that his dedication to the people of Alabama will not end when he crosses the threshold of the State House. Rather, the commendations within this resolution are given, and with the knowledge that he will continue serving his fellow Alabamians for many days. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the legislature of Alabama, both houses thereof concurring, that Representative Randall Shedd is hereby commended and recognized for his outstanding service to the people of House District 11 and the state of Alabama, and with sincere gratitude for his valuable contributions to this body, this resolution is offered with utmost respect to him, along with best wishes for all future endeavors.
Mr. Chairman.
Miss you. Well, my goodness, I don't know what to say. Y'all, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Leader, members of this, both sides of the aisle, I love everybody. So I'll just keep it brief and say thank you for, y'all shocked me this morning, and staff and security and everybody that works and makes the train run in this place, and on time, by the way, Mr. Speaker. You know, it's been a wonderful, wonderful ride, and I look forward to the next chapter. And my phone's ringing. I guess that's somebody. Y'all got me speechless, so I can tell you what we do. I've got 2 bills on the calendar. If y'all will pass those 2 bills. I won't ever bother you again as a sponsor. Thank y'all, and that's enough. That's enough. Thank you.
All in favor of adoption of the resolution, say aye.
I'm not
Ayes
done.
have it.
Nope.
Okay. You got another one?
I got another request.
Okay.
Mr. Chair. I'd like to open up for co-sponsors.
Okay. Clerk will open the machine, and the members who want to co-sponsor will co-sponsor. Just add them. We'll just add on the whole list. Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. The whole House will be added as co-sponsors.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Representative. Thank you. I don't think you're one of the best that ever walked through those doors. Thank you.
The chair recognizes the gentleman from Lee, Chairman Lovern.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I request that leaves of absence be granted for absent members.
Any objections? Hearing no objections, request is granted. Chair further recognizes the gentleman from Lee, Chairman Lovern.
Mr. Speaker, I have a report.
House of Representatives, your Standing Committee on Rules begs leave to report that it has carefully examined the Journal of the House for the 5th legislative day and finds the same to be correct. Signed, Representative Joe Lovern, Chairman.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the reading of the journal at length for the 5th legislative day be dispensed with.
Any objections? Hearing no objections, the journal is dispensed with. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Mobile, Pro Tem Pringle, for purpose of making announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, the Alabama State Department of Education invites you to attend the Career and Technical Education Ribbon Cutting and Mobile Workshop launch today at the Alabama Association of School Boards parking lot at 12:15. Members, I'd like to remind you to please pick your bills up from LSA desk here in the chamber. If you have a bill, please pick it up at the chamber.
Mr. Pro Tem, you're further recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I have 2 motions today. First, I'll move to suspend the rules and allow 4 privileges for the employees of the Examiner or Public Accounts Office to help us during the sunset bills.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion is granted.
Mr. Speaker, I move that when we adjourn today, we leave the journal open to allow the clerk to complete his paperwork, and that we reconvene Tuesday, February the 18th at 1 p.m. Tuesday the 8th at 1 p.m.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Clerk will now receive reports of standing committee and receive those reports throughout the day. The House is now in position to transact business. The House now will see resolutions from the Committee on Rules. Mr. Go ahead, Clay.
House Joint Resolution Number 8 by Representative Daniels, mourning the death and celebrating the life of William F. O'Connor, Jr. House Joint Resolution Number 15 by Representative Faulkner, commending Mountain Brook Police Chief James A. Loggins for professional achievements on the occasion of his retirement. House Joint Resolution Number 16 by Representative Faulkner, mourning the death and celebrating the life of United States Army veteran, former state legislator, and former ambassador, William Jelks Cabanis, Jr. House Joint Resolution Number 21 by Representative Hall, commending the GFWC Alabama Federation of Women's Clubs for public service. House Joint Resolution Number 28 by Representative Lawrence, commending John Clyde Riggs for his selfless dedication to the Alabama Tom Bigby Regional Commission. Senate Joint Resolution Number 7 by Senator Wagner, mourning the death and celebrating the life of United States Army veteran, former state legislator, and former ambassador, William Jelks Cabanis, Jr. Senate Joint Resolution Number 9 by Senator Wagner, mourning the death and celebrating the life of Robert Andrew Ferguson. Senate Joint Resolution Number 10 by Senator Wagner, commending Martin Franklin Caskey for professional achievement and dedicated public service. Senate Joint Resolution Number 11 by Senator Orr, mourning the death and celebrating the life of Robert Dare Citizen III.
I move adoption.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The resolutions have been adopted in mass.
House Joint Resolution Number 14 by Representative Faulkner, recognizing March 2025 as Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month in Alabama.
I move adoption.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The motion's carried.
House Joint Resolution Number 22 by Representative Harrison, amending the Purple Star Schools Program and Committee.
Move adoption.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Has been adopted.
House Joint Resolution Number 31 by Representative Allman, naming the bridge on Interstate 2059 that spans Grant Creek in Tuscaloosa County, Alabama, the Darrell Wayne Brown Sr. Memorial Bridge.
I move adoption.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? It has been adopted.
House Joint Resolution Number 40 by Representative Baker, expressing support for the Southern Regional Education Board Crisis Recovery Support Network.
Move adoption.
All those in favor say aye. Yes, ma'am. Chair recognizes the lady from Madison, Representative Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I had a concern on the resolution. Now, I don't mind. We get a long list of resolutions, but if I've not had a chance to see them, so the House Joint, I'd like to know exactly what House Joint Resolution, what is it amending, what is it doing for that programming committee, and House Joint Resolution Number 40. What is that support of? What does that board do?
Well, the sponsors of both of those, I think, are in here right now, and I can certainly have them speak on more in depth
I would
of it as well,
appreciate it.
if the speaker would like.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's do that. Who's
Harrison for 22.
Representative Harrison, you're recognized.
Is your resolution?
And while they're working on that, I got a couple announcements to make. Cherokee County, Dr. Zachary Richards, family pastor of Grove Baptist Church, is with us today. She's just the guest of Representative Jenny Shaver. Let's give her a big hand. Thank you for being with us. Also, we got service dogs from Alabama, Hope Hull, Shannon Preston. Thank you for being with us today. And Aaron Norton. Also, we have with us the University of South Alabama Leadership Group. They're the guest of the Mobile and Baldwin delegation.
well.
Thank y'all for being with us today. Enjoyed visiting with you last night.
Will the gentleman yield?
Yes.
So I noticed that you would seem to having trouble trying to figure out what the resolution is doing. Could you tell me exactly what we are amending? What are we doing for the Purple Star Schools Program and Committee?
Well, this is a part of the Lieutenant Governor's packet and the Governor's packet to recognize these schools and allow them to participate in it. This is just a resolution.
It says amending, so we are making some type of change is being recommended. And let me tell you why I'm doing this. I have not had a chance. I got this when we came in, so I haven't had a
Yes,
chance
ma'am.
to even request. And by the time I get down here, it seems to be a rush on and not recognize the fact that there are questions. I'm not that I'm opposed. I want you to understand that. I'm just nosy like that, and I want to know what we're doing.
I understand.
And so when we are amending the Purple Star School Program, what are we doing? Are we adding something or deleting something?
Yes, we're allowing them, the private K through 12 schools, to participate in that program. Before it was not allowed before.
Wait, okay, so tell me, what is the Purple Star School Program? Is that tell me what that is.
I can't.
You can't?
I can't. I'll just be honest with you.
Okay, all right. So I do have a copy
I will,
here.
yeah.
All right. I have this. I gave you the copy.
Yeah.
But anyway, so for me, that's what I'm trying to determine. So what you're saying is presently,
Right.
do you mind handing me back that
Sure.
copy? Presently, what we're doing is we're giving special recognition to public K through 12 schools that are committed to supporting unique educational and social opportunities. That's what we're doing. That's presently.
Right.
And so what you're saying now, what we're doing is allowing private K through 12 schools to participate,
It's adding them to that program.
adding them to the program.
I can give you the definition of the program. It's Purple Star School is a school that has been recognized for its commitment to military-connected students and families. This program aims to help military-connected students and their family.
Okay, so helping them, so these are schools within a school system. Within a school system. Say within a school system.
Private. If you look at
Right, no, presently
Private.
it's in a school system. Now who's speaking, Mr. Chair or you?
all it does is open it up to private K through 12 schools, and that wasn't allowed before.
Okay, so if you are a military family and your children attend private schools,
Right.
your children then would be allowed to participate in this
that
is the recommendation, that they would then be allowed to participate in the programs at the city schools.
That's right.
Does that include the possibility, I didn't see this, it says in addition to the private should be eligible to participate, and that one representative, then it has one representative of a private K through 12 school appointed by the state superintendent of education is added to the committee. So it's two
Right.
things. You're adding a person to the committee and you're allowing them to be able to participate.
Right.
Thank you.
Chair, thanks, lady.
I have a question on 42.
Mr. Chairman.
Question on number 40?
Yes.
Okay, I can, Representative Baker's right here. If the lady would, fine, I would like him to explain further.
Thank you.
Sorry. Any particular things that you?
No, I hadn't seen it, just till I saw the title.
Right.
And then I'm saying expressing support for the Southern Region Education Board Crisis Recovery Support Network. What does that entail? What are we doing?
And you're probably familiar maybe with the SREB, Southern Regional Education Board, 16 states, right, southeastern states. And so this was something initiated through the president, Stephen Pruitt, of the Southern Regional Education Board, and that is to create a program to try to help schools across the 16-state compact that when there is a crisis, there would be a team that would be a part constituted by the SREB then leadership that would come in to try to help provide support to those schools. So it could be like for a tornado, could be hurricane, could be after an active shooter type of incident. And so this would allow the schools to try to better adapt over time. The counselors are sometimes overloaded in terms of trying to help get back on, I guess, an even plane or footing in terms of the school operations and just as the mental anguish that students would have over these extreme incidents and all. So this is something that's a new program being created by the Southern Regional Education Board.
So from what I've read just since you've been talking is that it mainly seems to be focusing on the increasing the counseling services?
That is correct. I mean, I think it extends maybe beyond that, helping the school in whatever capacities that they can. That is just sort of get back on an even keel in terms of operations of the school like it would have been prior to that crisis having occurred. So you're right. Primarily, a lot of that would be in support, that is in counseling support. But I don't think that it's limited to just that. I think they could also try to support in other ways that they could help the school system get back on.
I don't know. You have a copy of this in front of you?
Yes, I do.
So it shows. It mainly seems to on page 1 over to the middle of page 2, focus on the counseling as the main focus. Because if you go down to be it resolved by the legislature of Alabama, both houses, to meet the need, a coordinated region-wide effort to provide consistent long-term counseling capacity. And then I guess I'm assuming then counselors would be deployed or sent to that immediate area that is undergoing whatever the crisis is. So it seems to be focusing just on the counseling process. You saying you think it's more than that?
Well, no, I think that's I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think that is the primary focus of the team that would come in to the school.
Long term. Yeah, so
SREB provides a number of supports to the schools just broadly. So you made a very strong point with this. That is, I think, the intent or focus of this. I don't think that would necessarily limit the SREB from continuing, though, to be of support if there's other capacities where they could be of support due to the crisis that extends beyond the counseling. Much like they do today. In other words, I guess just the normal operations of SREB as they are continuing to support schools across their 16-state compact.
And I'm not going to argue. I served on the SREB earlier. I never thought mainly. What I remember most is focusing on the personnel. So I did not see any evidence of anything other than personnel such as counseling. So it's still mainly focused on counseling and having a coordinated effort within the Southern region.
Correct. That's the primary focus. That is correct.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My request is we just received this information of these lists, and if we can get copies, I would get copies, because even send it, by the time I get to the copy you're already through them, making sure. I just knows it like that. I want to know what we're doing. That's all.
Absolutely. Once they're filed, they're put on the system that you can pull off the internet, or copies are in my office of rules as well.
Well, we don't know what's coming up until you bring the list to us. And so I'm more interested in what we're doing immediately than.
Well, most resolutions are considered timely. We move through the process quickly with them. So if you see one in the system, just know that it's likely to move. And like I said, we got the paper copies ready and waiting.
And I'm also going to make a request, if I don't see it, that we will have an opportunity to go through them. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Hall. I think, Ms. Hall, after we get the session started, it's a little bit easier, I know, for rules to get them out. So we apologize for that. We'll get them out as quickly as possible.
I don't mind as long as we have an opportunity.
Yes, ma'am. Chair recognizes the lady from Jefferson, Representative Van.
We're down to the last two, right?
While she's making her way down here, we'd like to recognize the Alabama State University Geared Up program, Montgomery County Public Schools. Montgomery delegation of Lawrence, Morris, Hassel, Ensler, Sales, Ingram, and McClammy. Thank you for being with us today.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Listen, I'm just trying to get the clarity this year, because just trying to see the process of how we're going to move legislation this year as it relates to the Rules Committee, because sometimes it kind of flip-flop years as to the picks, that process. So I'm just trying to get some clarity as to how we're going to do it this year. Is it the same pick like you all did last year? How you well, it's been almost like the last couple of years. It's been structured, I think, the same way.
Well, anytime we can allow, I try to give our committee the opportunity to pick from a list of bills that have come through committee and are ready to move forward. And that's the calendar we have today, is a pick calendar. Based on that, to make a special order calendar that was approved this morning. We had to meet this morning because committees met till late in the day yesterday, and we wanted every committee report to be able to come out to move forward.
Okay. Well, no, I get that. I'm just trying to see. We moved from a system of where it was based upon seniority a few years ago to the current process now of, I guess, a rotation of members that are on the Rules Committee.
It is a seniority in that committee.
So it's still seniority.
And then when we'll have a rotation if we do not go through the whole way of the
Okay, that's what I was trying to get to.
Yes, ma'am.
The rotation.
Correct. And sometimes, unfortunately, there's bills that we dedicate to a certain day because of either guests coming, or if you had a bill that you had a special guest coming that day, we'd try to schedule it for that day. So we have to move bills according to that calendar sometime. And if
I have a piece of legislation that I feel is, of course, worthy to be on the list, I've never heard anybody say that, but or if I'm going to have someone coming down as a guest, I can ask for some type of special consideration.
Well, you can make the request, certainly.
Okay, I didn't know that.
My office is open to that anytime. So.
Okay, I did not know that. I'm glad you told me that. I make sure on all my bills, if I can ever get them in committee and they start moving this year, I'm gonna make sure every day that I think my bill is gonna be on the calendar, I'm gonna ask to have some special guest to come down.
Well, that's a different part of the process.
and visit with me, since I never heard that one before. You know, I missed it. I told y'all I wasn't an A plus student. I wasn't an A student. I was an A plus, and ultimately moved to an A minus. So I'm not that smart. So I just wanted to get the clarity. Okay, so that's what I really wanted to know, was the process. And then also I was looking up because I really wanted to come up on a special order, but my name had already been called. But I really wanted to come up to ask about the special order. But since I was up here, I had been wanting to, when I spoke with you yesterday, I wanted to get the clarity on it. So, all right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure, thanks, lady. Question for now is the adoption of HJR. What are we on? Is that right?
SJR 2? 40?
40.
Okay, we got to vote on.
HJR 40. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Chairman.
Senate Joint Resolution Number 2 by Senator Wagner, committee appointed to notify the governor that the legislature is in session.
Move adoption.
All in favor? Say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Senate Joint Resolution Number 5 by Senator Wagner, committee appointed to escort the governor to joint session of the legislature.
Move for adoption.
All in favor say aye. Any opposed? It is adopted. Clerk, call the next resolution. Clerk, call the first uncontested local bill.
On page 3 of the calendar, House Bill Number 76 by Representative Brignac, related to Fayette County.
Question for the body now is the adoption of the BIR. Clerk on the lock machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 76 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted. Question for the body now is final passage of HB 76. Clerk on the lock machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 48 ayes, 0 nays. HB 76 has passed. Clerk, call the next bill.
On page 2 of the calendar, House Bill Number 78 by Representative Simpson, relating to Baldwin County.
Question for the body is adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 68 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted. Question for the body now is final passage of HB 78. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 33 ayes, 0 nays. HB 78 has passed. Clerk, call the next bill.
On page 3 of the calendar, House Bill Number 87 by Representative McCampbell, relating to Marengo County.
Question for the body is adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 66 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted. Question now is final passage of HB 87. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 25 ayes, 0 nays. HB 87 has passed. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 3 of the calendar, House Bill Number 98 by Representative Pettis, relating to Lauderdale County.
Question for the body is adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 61 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted. Question now is final passage of HB 98. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 19 ayes, 0 nays. HB 98 has passed. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 4 of the calendar, House Bill Number 99 by Representative Pettis, relating to Lauderdale County.
Question for the body's adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 60 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted. Question before the body now is final passage of HB 99. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 23 ayes, 0 nays. HB 99 has passed. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 4 of the calendar, House Bill Number 100 by Representative Pettis, relating to Lauderdale County.
Question for the body is passage of the BIR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 60 ayes, 0 nays. The BR has been adopted. Question now is final passage of HB 100. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 21 ayes, 0 nays. HB 100 has passed. Clerk, call the next bill.
On page 4 of the calendar, House Bill number 132 by Representative Kirkland relating to the city of Scottsboro.
Question for the body is passage of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 63 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted. Question for the body now is final passage of HB 132. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 19 ayes, 0 nays. HB 132 has passed. Clerk, call up the next bill.
On page 4 of the calendar, House Bill number 135 by Representative Klaus relating to Dale County.
Question for the body is adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 57 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted. Question now is final passage. Clerk will unlock the machine, members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 19 ayes, 0 nays. HB 135 has passed. Clerk, call up the next bill.
On page 4 of the calendar, House Bill number 193 by Representative Robbins relating to the city of Childersburg.
Question for the body's adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 62 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted. Question for the body now is final passage of HB 193. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 15 ayes, 0 nays. HB 193 has passed. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Lee, Chairman Lovern.
Mr. Speaker, I have a resolution.
Clerk, see the resolution.
House Resolution number 60 by the House Rules Committee, the special order calendar.
Chairman Lovern.
Move for adoption.
All in favor say aye. Any opposed? It is adopted.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, gentlemen. Clerk, call first bill.
On page 21 of the calendar, House Bill number 102 with substitute by Representative Ross relating to education.
Representative Ross, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 102 would require dual enrollment courses to be available to eligible high school students through all education agencies. It would require each local education agency to award high school credit for the passing of approved dual enrollment courses. It will extend the availability of approved dual enrollment courses offered by local community colleges and universities to high school students enrolled in all local education agencies. This would not obligate a local education agency to incorporate any dual enrollment course into its standard curriculum. And a student would also be required to meet with their counselor, career coach, or other appropriate employee to help them understand the appropriateness and the relevancy of the course that they're taking. The local education agency is not financially responsible for any cost associated with the participation, and the State Department of Education, with input and in collaboration with the Alabama Community College System and universities, shall prepare and distribute the guidelines for implementation. Mr. Speaker, I move for the BIR, please.
Now, his question stops to BR. Chair recognizes the lady from Mobile, Representative Drummond.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentlewoman yield?
Yes, ma'am.
I want to say you just came out of the chute with a great bill. As I said to you in committee, this is a bill that I think Alabama has it right. And I think this bill is going to benefit every student that is qualified. And I'm happy because, you know, we had the 2-year college and the 4-year folks there on yesterday. And to hear them say that they're going to make sure that they market this opportunity that all of our kids who are eligible will know. Dual enrollment is such a wonderful, wonderful program to get our kids introduced into going into higher ed. I know we all are pushing for workforce, and I am too, but I don't want us to forget the academic side. So I'm not going to give you a hard time, but it's a really, really good bill, and I just want to thank you for bringing it.
Thank you.
Chair thanks the lady. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Mobile, Representative Shirey.
Representative Ross, I want to thank you for bringing this bill. Dual enrollment has been really, really good programs for the state of Alabama. Thank you for bringing this bill.
Chair recognizes the lady from Macon, Representative Warren. Be the third person to speak on the BR.
My goodness.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will yield. Welcome aboard. I know your bill is a good bill. And listen, Representative Drummond, because I want you to hear this. Representative Drummond, will you please listen? I want to commend you for what you're doing, because you are looking at the person who started the first dual enrollment program in the state of Alabama. So I've been with it since day one when we started, okay? I'm trying to understand what's the problem as to why you're doing this bill. What's going wrong in the system now?
I'm not sure anything's going wrong. We just want to make sure that if there are those local education agencies that are not allowing their students to take these classes, that this would be something that would expand that access and make sure they had that opportunity.
Okay, because I think the dual enrollment, when we first started, it was only for career technical education.
Right.
But I think the money that we are now putting for dual enrollment is inclusive of both academic and technical programs in the system. Again, like I said, I wasn't sure what the problem was. I said, now, this has been out here since I was a young girl, you know what I'm saying? So I was just trying to figure out what the problem was. But again, thank you. And truly, this program has proven to be very successful because, as you know, we're having students finishing high school and getting associate degrees at the same time. So that is something that has really been good, and our 4-year colleges have worked along with us with articulation and the agreements that we have out there in the state. So again, thank you for your bill. And Barbara, put that in your notebook now. Thank you.
Chair thanks the lady. Chair recognizes the lady from Chambers, Representative Wood. Be the fourth person to speak on the BR.
Thank you. Would the lady yield?
Yes.
Thank you so much for this bill. I think it's a wonderful opportunity for students. I want to echo what my colleagues have already said, but you know, a lot of times now our children, when they reach their senior year, they don't even have to stay the entire day because they don't need any more credits. So this will give them an opportunity while they're in school to even do dual enrollment, or the summers or the evenings. So I think it just really creates another pathway for our students. And I appreciate you getting in here and doing the hard work and having this bill ready. Thank you very much.
Chair thanks the lady. Question for the body now is the adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the votes. 103 ayes, 0 nays. The BIR has passed. Representative Ross.
Mr. Speaker, I move for the adoption of the committee substitute.
Okay, that's questions. The adoption of the committee sub. I got a few lights on. Does anybody want to speak on the sub? If you do, raise your hand. If not, we're going to go forward. Do you know what the sub is? Okay, all right, thank you. The question for the body now is adoption of the committee sub. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 104 ayes, 0 nays. Committee sub has been adopted. Representative Ross.
Mr. Speaker, I move for the final passage of HB 102 as substituted.
Chair recognizes the lady from Jefferson, Representative Van.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ross, listen, I want you to know when I'm looking up, I'm not looking up because I don't know who you are, but it's just that we have such a revolving door in the legislature. Every quadrennium, I cannot learn all the names.
Okay.
Because I had someone ask me about that one time, and I said, I have to look up because I don't know all the names, so I do know your name, but I still have to just do a verification check because we have so many people come in within the, at the end of each quadrennium. But I wanted to stand, I rise to simply thank you for this piece of legislation, and especially strengthening in the area of dual enrollment. But I also rise because what I love to see, and I was a stickler for many years about this, when my colleagues on the opposite side of the aisle would bring bills, they had no knowledge, they were not prepared in many instances. And I have seen under this leadership a huge difference in many instances when you all have legislation is very well critiqued, very well written, very well planned out. And I have appreciation. Susan is my suite mate, and she thoroughly goes through every detail. Now, we're not going to always agree, but I do appreciate the value added in at least taking the steps to go above and beyond to at least be able to comprehensively answer the question. And with that said, I am curious about one thing, and it's only the private school. Will private schools also be able to take part in this? Is that a part of this legislation? So I just wanted you to expound for my edification on that particular subject.
This specifically says local education agencies.
So, but local, yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's a county or city school system.
So it is
Yeah.
just county?
Yes.
Just city?
I've got that marked.
No private, no choice schools? I'm just trying to.
It says a county or city school system operating public K-12 schools.
Okay, I just wanted to get the clarity. Was there, and I know we always have this toss-up with private versus public, but since we're doing so much in the realm of the choice schools and things of that nature, is there a reason why those schools would not be added?
Right.
And I want to make sure I'm not hazing you.
It's okay.
I'm just trying to, these are good, I'm just trying to get the, even though one of your colleagues did ask me to come up and haze you, I'm not going to.
I was expecting it.
I'm not going to do it. I won't do it. But I did want to get that answer.
We can't mandate for private schools.
I'm sorry, you said what now?
I said we cannot mandate rules and
I mean, I just wanted to make sure because that had come up and I wasn't clear on it because I know over the last few years we've had issues with certain private schools, whether they be on a collegiate level versus secondary education level. And so I was just trying to make sure, but I'm very pleased with whatever we can do. Representative Mary Moore's granddaughter graduated last year. She really didn't even have to go to her senior year because she had completed so much coursework with the dual enrollment program. And I think she may have gone into school either as maybe a sophomore, close to a junior, somewhere in there. So, and I have another good friend, same thing, whose child is out of state, and they've gone in at a sophomore, almost junior, close to a junior classification. So I appreciate the information, but I did want to get the clarity. I appreciate you. I've always said with regards to you, I hated to lose you on the other side, but then we've gained you on this side, and you're probably one of the foremost experts in the area of education, and I never use the word expert lightly, but you are one such person, so I thank you for your efforts, and I appreciate Representative Warren in her efforts, and that also leads me to this last thing. When you have people, I know everybody sponsors what they want to, and I had this conversation with a colleague, research to see who may have carried that legislation in years past, and just go, as a courtesy, you don't have to, hey, I'm going to be bringing this bill, and I know you've worked on it in the past. A lot of folks have done that to me in certain instances, and I did it to Cam Ward some years ago on some legislation that he championed, and he was right there with me step by step to help lead me through the Sex Offender Act that he championed here and several others. So I appreciate the opportunity to serve with you. Thank you. Thank you.
Chair thanks the lady. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Etowah, Representative Gidley.
President Ross, you yield.
Yes.
Just want to say, first of all, I'm going to be very brief. I had to get on record to say what a great piece of legislation this is. Dual enrollment is a tremendous leg up and advancement for our students to give them a head start toward their career, whether it be community college and now where they choose to go to higher education. This gives them a tremendous opportunity to move down the road. Let me address quickly what my colleague just mentioned a while ago. While I know we can't mandate for private schools, I do know there are private schools that offer this. I have a grandson that's in dual enrollment in a private school, so they do offer that. But thank you for bringing this. This is a tremendous advancement to economic development for our students, and I appreciate the bill. Thank you so much.
Chair thanks the gentleman. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Marshall, Representative Colvin.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Ross, I think it's my duty as your colleague from Marshall County to welcome you to the House. I have a couple questions, though, about your bill. The first, is this your first bill?
Yes, it is.
It is your first bill. Explain to me real quick what your bill does.
The bill ensures that students have the access and the opportunity to take dual enrollment courses at colleges and universities.
So right now, the local schools have to opt in if they want to participate in dual enrollment under current law, and you're saying, well, they have to.
Yes.
I did dual enrollment when I was in high school, which was just a couple years ago, and I got several credits that helped me. I took it through Sneak State in our county, and I loved it. It got me prepared for college. I think dual enrollment's a great idea. What's the difference between dual enrollment and advanced placement? I always hear a good debate regarding the two of those.
Well, dual enrollment will actually give you college credit.
Gotcha.
In the AP classes, you have to take the test, make a certain score and that sort of thing to get that recognized.
And on the AP, you said it's a test they have to take for the AP stuff. I always like dual enrollment a little better than AP, but I think this is a great bill. And on top of this being a great bill, I think you are a great addition to the Alabama House of Representatives. And I've already seen how you make me a better representative serving in our delegation. So welcome to the House.
Thank you.
Chair thanks the gentleman. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Jefferson, Representative Sellers. While he's making his way down here, I'd like to recognize a former member, Steve Flowers, that has just finished a book on Jabbo Wagner. Everybody had a chance yesterday. Great book. Steve, good to have you with us.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With the gentlelady yield,
Yes, thank you.
I just want to say kudos, and if we can do more, even more in Alabama to have a robust rollout of information and communication to all of our students and our children, the importance of this dual enrollment, it would bring down so many issues that we have in our state with crime, with the lack of education or the lack of determination or direction that our children, the exposure is so important for every single high school child or student to make sure they have the ability to do dual enrollment. So kudos to you, and go dual enrollment.
Chair thanks the gentleman. Question for the body now is final passage of HB 102 as sub. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. We sure can. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 102 ayes, 0 nays. HB 102 has passed as sub. Wait a minute. Hey, Representative Ross, you do not get off that easy. Let's open it up for co-sponsors. All of you that want to co-sponsor, Mr. Clerk, open the machine back up so everybody can. Okay, Mr. Clerk, you can lock the machine. 102 ayes, 0 nays for co-sponsors. Ms. Ross, I believe this is your very first bill, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, congratulations. Let's give her a big hand. Good job.
Thank you.
Clerk, call next bill.
On page 14 of the calendar, House Bill number 230 by Representative Shedd, related to real estate transactions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the recognition. House Bill 230 makes some changes in the real estate law that was needed because of all the lawsuits and developments dealing with the National Association of Realtors. The one major part of it that I really like is this bill clarifies that consumers in Alabama cannot be required to sign a binding contract simply to view a property. So no questions. I'm asked for the BIR to be passed.
Chair recognizes the lady from Jefferson, Representative Hollis.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the gentleman yield?
Yes, ma'am.
First, I want to say congratulations to you, and I wish you much success on your new journey.
Thank you.
And I also want to thank you for bringing this bill because it is a good bill, and it would help us as realtors go in more detail with our clients. So, and I know that we had a lot of changes last summer ongoing, and I think this right here will help with the recap and with us explaining and just going more in detail because we need that. So thank you for bringing this piece of legislation.
Thank you. Appreciate your support.
Chair thanks the lady. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Shelby, Representative Mooney.
I just rise to thank you from the standpoint of commercial realtors about what you're doing because that's the world I live in and I have for quite a number of decades. But the issues with the whole process of buyer representation have been very distressing and difficult, and this helps to clear it up for our state, and we need this type of legislation. Thank you.
Thank you for your support.
Chair thanks the gentleman. Chair recognizes the lady from Jefferson, Representative Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentlemen, could you give me a little more clarity and overview of what your bill do so I can compare with what I've learned?
Okay, the key provisions of the bill, again, is it clarifies that the RECAD disclosures are required before a buyer views a property, but a written agreement is not required at that stage. The compensation disclosure requires a general explanation of the compensation during the RECAD discussion and within the written company policy outlining available consumer services. Written agreements requires a written agreement between the licensee and the consumer at specific times. The seller before listing a property, and buyers before submitting an offer. And on the terms of compensation, it requires terms of compensation to be in a brokerage agreement.
Now, let me ask you this. If I look at a piece of property, and am I required to have an agent to work with me in order to look at that property?
I'm sorry, to ask me.
Does your bill require, if I look at, if I'm interested in a piece of property, does it require me to sign an agreement to have an agent?
No.
Okay. That's the crust of what I thought it does, because I think that it is an injustice that we automatically require people to have an agent to look at property. And I look at the trends that's going across the country in a lot of states that they are not requiring them. And in fact, people now will go on the internet and look at some properties themselves, and if it's something that they want to see closer, then they have that opportunity to contact the listing agent and go and check the property out themselves without them having an agent themselves. So if it's to help the buyer and not require them to sign these unnecessary contracts just to be interested in a piece of property, then I'm in agreement with you.
That's the part I really like about it. Thank you.
Chair thanks the lady. Question for the body now is passage of the BIR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 103 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Speaker, I move the final passage.
That is questions. Final passage of HB 230. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 103 ayes, 0 nays. HB 230 has passed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and ladies and gentlemen of the House, I appreciate it.
Thank you, gentlemen. Clerk, call up the next bill.
On page 10 of the calendar, House Bill number 114 by Representative Shedd, relating to the Board of Dental Examiners of Alabama.
Chairman Shedd.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 114 extends the Board of Dental Examiners until October the 1st of 2027. The examiners of public accounts did a very extensive exam, and the Sunset Committee and Boards and Agency Commission Committee all approved the passing this on to the full body, and I move that BR.
That's questions. Adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 101 ayes, 0 nays. The BR has been adopted. Mr. Chairman.
I move final passage, Mr. Speaker.
That's questions. Final passage of HB 114. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 102 ayes, 0 nays. HB 114 has passed. So we've had our first bill today for Representative Ross, and this is the last bill for Chairman Shedd. Let's give him a big hand.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members of the House. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Clerk, call next bill.
On page 10 of the calendar, House Bill number 110 by Representative Pringle, relating to the State Board of Medical Examiners and Medical Licensure Commission.
Mr. Pro Tem, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, this bill simply continues the Board of Medical Examiners until 2027, but it brings them under the ethics law. They had a quirk in the law, and they were not covered by the ethics law, and we just put them under the same law everybody else is. With that, Mr. Speaker, I move adoption of the BIR.
Next question is adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock machine, and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 102 ayes, 0 nays. The BR has been adopted. Mr. Pro Tem.
Mr. Speaker, I move final passage of HB 110.
That's questions. Final passage of 110. Clerk will unlock the machine, and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 100 ayes, 0 nays. HB 110 has passed. Clerk, call up the next bill.
On page 11 of the calendar, House Bill number 115 by Representative Simpson, relating to the Alabama Board of Electrical Contractors.
Chairman Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the body, we had some significant issues with the Board of Electrical Contractors. Since our sunset meetings, they have changed their executive directors, and they've also elected a new board based on some of the information that we found. So we are asking for a one-year rollover to carry this over until, for a one-year rollover on this bill.
Okay, you've heard the explanation of the bill. Question for the body is adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock the machine, and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 102 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for final passage.
That's question final passage of HB 115. Clerk will unlock the machine, and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 103 ayes, 0 nays. HB 115 has passed. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 11 of the calendar, House Bill number 116 by Representative Simpson, relating to the Alabama Professional Bail Bonding Board.
Chairman Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last year, we found several significant issues with the Professional Bail Bonding Board. We gave them a one-year rollover to see if they can correct those issues. The Professional Bail Bonding Board did a tremendous job, and their members of the board fought really hard for this pass to get these issues corrected, and they have corrected these issues. So we're moving to change the bail bonding board over to put them back on their regular schedule, which will be until October of 2027, I believe.
Chair recognizes the lady from Jefferson, Representative Gavan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would you just enlighten me as to what those changes were? Several individuals that are bail bondsmen in Jefferson County have come to our office. Actually, our office represents, my partner does, one in particular. Can you tell me what those changes were that you all made or made concessions on?
We didn't make any concessions.
Any concessions? Okay,
No.
can you tell me what the changes were? Because I'm.
So what happened was last year, when this board was up for review in front of the Sunset Committee, there were significant problems, and there were multiple significant issues that came through last year. Because of those problems last year, we requested a one-year rollover to give them time to address those issues. Since this past year, they've addressed those issues and resolved, and they only had one significant issue left this year, and that had to do with the depositing of checks and money orders in a timely manner, and they've addressed that issue. And so they solved all of the significant issues we had last year. We didn't make any concessions.
Did anything come up relative to the makeup or how the board is structured?
We looked at the board. Let me see if I can pull
Or
that
who can
up.
serve? I can't remember what it was. It escapes me.
The board is made up of, they have different representations based on congressional districts. So everyone has a congressional district through there. They have a district or municipal court judge is represented on there. A state at large appointee is listed on there, and they have someone from representing the circuit clerks listed on there. So
Okay.
they have
What's
geographical.
the total composite makeup of the board? It just escaped me, and I actually had texted Steve to ask him what that was, because like I said, he stopped me a couple of weeks ago and was raising several issues, and I think there's a coalition, and I don't know if it's just those coalitions of bail bondsmen that are black or not, but I do know there were some issues, and so that's why I was trying to see.
Let me see. We usually have a breakdown of the racial compensation of the board. It is.
And I may have to get it from him. I may have to get what that is from him. I'm not as learned in this area as I used to be.
I've got two. I'm showing two. I'm currently showing that there are 2 minority members currently serving on the board. On page 1.
And if you don't mind, if you would just enlighten me, how are they appointed? I can't remember. I used to get involved with that when I was some years ago when I was still on duty. But
9 members are appointed by the governor from a list of 4 nominees from each position submitted by the Alabama Bail Bond Association. 7 are professional bail bondsmen. 1 must be serving as a circuit, district, or municipal court judge, and 1 would be serving as a circuit or municipal court clerk. And that's under the Code of Alabama 1513-203.
and there's still an executive director. They still have an executive director.
Let me check who their executive director is.
'Cause I don't
Yes,
know.
they do have an executive director.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to get the clarity on it. I'm sure my phone will ping off after I take my seat, then I can get back with you on it. But either way it goes, the ship appears to have sailed this go round, but I just can't remember or recall what the specific question was, but I did want to know what and just refresh my recollection as to what that modification was that you say you all addressed this year.
So it doesn't work as a modification. What happens is the Board of Public Examiners finds issues, and they call them significant issues. Last year in their report, they found several significant issues. And so we only rolled it over for 1 year for them to address those significant
Those 7,
issues.
okay, so.
And they addressed those issues by the time they were up this year. The only significant issue that was found this year is there were checks that were not deposited into money orders into a timely manner. They had 30 bank deposits comprised of 161 checks, were examined to determine whether they were deposited timely. Of those, they were deposited from 6 to 56 days after being received by the board.
So would those be checks from the bail bondsman? Or would it be someone that is utilizing bail bonding services?
No, so this is just the association.
Association,
This is not,
okay.
This has
All
not
right.
to do with the bail bondsman.
Administrative.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. I appreciate it. And if I found out what that is, just for my own edification.
Is that right? I can't hear you.
Dealing with license.
The people that apply for their license.
That's what I was, okay.
So it's not the people going to a bail bondsman. It's the bail bondsman going to the license through the association.
Okay. I got it. Thank you.
Chair thanks, lady. Question for the body's adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the vote. 103 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask for final passage.
That's questions. Final passage of HB 116. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the vote. 102 ayes, 0 nays. HB 116 has passed. Clerk, call up the next bill.
On page 11 of the calendar, House Bill number 125 by Representative Wilcox, relating to the Alabama State Board of Veterinarian Medical Examiners.
Chair Lady Wilcox, you're recognized.
Thank you for the recognition, Mr. Speaker. It's my honor to present HB 125 for the Alabama State Board of Veterinary Medical Examiners. The Sunset Committee recommends that they be extended until October 2027, a 2-year renewal. And with that, I would ask for the BIR, please.
You've heard the explanation of the bill. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Recorded vote, 101 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted. Madam Chair,
May I ask for the final passage?
that is questions. Final passage of HB 125. Clerk will unlock the machine and members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Recorded vote, 103 ayes, 0 nays. HB 125 has passed.
May I take a personal privilege moment?
Yes, ma'am, you can.
In honor of Valentine's Day, the Sunset Board has been trying to see how we could match up and help these Sunset Boards fill positions that are vacant, and they are struggling to find geographical representation. So KD, our intern, will be finding out all the current vacancies on these boards, and he's going to contact the membership. He's going to create a database. So you, as the members of the House of Representatives, will have the opportunity to nominate people from your districts to make sure that your districts are represented on these regulatory boards. So here's Katie, and he's working on that. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Clerk, call next bill.
On page 9 of the calendar, House Bill number 89 was substitute by Representative Lands relating to Medicaid.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, esteemed colleagues. HB 89 is the Alabama Maternal Health Care Act, and it would provide presumptive eligibility to pregnant women to Medicaid. Basically, this would expedite the process to get women and babies into prenatal care much earlier. Right now, only 11% of pregnant women in this state receive prenatal care at all, and many don't get it until well into the second or even third trimester. So this, I think, would help us to identify pre-existing conditions much earlier in the process, and also it would help to ensure that women get the very best prenatal care that they can. It is, I believe, a low-cost, high-reward program and has potential to really create much better outcomes for Alabama moms and babies. This bill was amended yesterday in committee to sunset it in October of 2028. And with that, I'd like to move for passage of the BIR.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Shelby, Representative Mooney.
Appreciate it. Wanted to rise to support the process of the bill from the standpoint not just that it's been being presented bipartisanly, but having had some personal experience in our family with a recent birth that caused a 92-day stay in the NICU with a baby. It's really difficult in certain situations with maternity to detect some of the things that go on. The process of this with the sunset means that there will be an ability to study it and see if there's a cost-benefit analysis to it that medically, cost-wise, goes with the help for the mothers. I believe it's a pro-life bill in the sense of getting more babies into the world, and that's important regardless of what we look at other stuff. Those funds are well expended in my belief. But having gone through what we've been through, which we were somewhat told could not be detected in the first trimester as easily as it was in the second trimester, maybe there will be opportunities with things of that nature with a placenta failure to understand what's happening. It's a good bill, and I appreciate the fact that you ladies have brought it.
Thank you, Representative Mooney.
Chair thanks the gentleman. Chair recognizes the lady from Shelby, Representative DeBose.
Representative Lance, I want to thank you for bringing this bill. I've enjoyed collaborating with you throughout the last several months. You worked very hard on this. You've done extensive research, and thank you. The babies and mothers of Alabama are going to be better off as a result of your work, and I've enjoyed working with you. I think you've got a really good, solid bill here. I'm fine with the sunset provision. I think that, in fact, the fiscal note may be a bit high, and we may find out that it's going to cost us even less than we think. But at any rate, it's important to get babies and mothers taken care of as early as possible in pregnancy, and this is going to help very greatly. So thank you.
I thank you, too.
Chair thanks, lady. Chair recognizes the lady from Mobile, Chairwoman Wilcox. Be the fourth person to speak on the BIR.
Thank you for the recognition, Mr. Speaker. I can't thank you enough for bringing this bill and providing a solution to what we all know is a horrible problem in the state of Alabama with our infant and maternal mortality rate. It was a pleasure to work across the aisle with you on this, and thank you for bringing the bill.
Chair thanks, lady. Question for the body now is adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk lock the machine is recorded to vote 102 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted. Representative Land.
Now I'd like to move for final passage of the bill as amended, or as substituted.
We got a committee sub on this.
Yes.
We got to adopt your sub.
Okay. I'm sorry. I move that we adopt the
Are
substitute.
you here to explain it?
The substitute would sunset the bill in October of 2028.
Very good. Thank you. Question for the body is adoption of the sub. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Recorded vote 101 ayes, 0 nays. Sub has been adopted. Representative Land.
Now I'll move for final passage.
Chair recognizes the lady from Jefferson, Representative Van.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Lands. Can you tell me, and I'm just trying to get the clarification on what in my definition, the extended coverage? Because it appears that this will now extend to other diagnoses or prognoses when a woman is pregnant or through the
It basically
maternal
just
health.
gets her into prenatal care earlier.
Okay. It does what? I'm sorry.
Gets her into care earlier.
just
So,
it's
because
just-
we're presuming she's eligible for Medicaid, and there's a 60-day period before all that paperwork may be
Okay, so
in.
so we're now dealing with the time. So this is more the adding and I guess allowing for an earlier time period through the pregnancy. So did you cap it at a certain trimester or just if you're pregnant, period?
So are you asking when they would get into care?
Mhm.
Because that would be different for each woman.
Okay.
So, but it expedites the process so that they don't have to wait until all that paperwork has been gathered and approved. We're presuming, based on what the pregnant woman would say her income would be, we're going to assume that that is correct and that if she's within the qualification limit for Medicaid, then she still has time to gather all that documentation, but she can go ahead and get that appointment, get that pregnancy test, and get in earlier.
And what's that qualification limit? Do you know?
It varies based on household size, but it's, I think one of the big misconceptions is that a lot of women don't realize that they qualify for pregnancy Medicaid because the threshold is quite different from regular Medicaid.
Okay. And let me ask this, and I know Susan had mentioned that she had worked with you on this. Did you get any input from those who are clinicians or practitioners And can you give me some of that feedback from those who are considered to be experts in this area?
Absolutely. We talked to folks at the hospitals, obstetricians, the Hospital Association, Medical Association, folks on the Maternal Mortality Review Board, the Infant Mortality Review Board, folks at our ACHN, nurses, midwives, doulas. We got lots of input and have built together a group of folks that are looking overall at maternal health care moving forward as well.
And I guess for me, did you give any consideration or did you speak with anyone? Because there is a difference in Black maternal health, and I think everybody knows that. So did you
Absolutely.
Speak with
I
someone?
am very aware of that and attended the Black Maternal Health Care Summit in Richmond, Virginia, where I learned a lot and looked at some of the practices that other states are doing.
And have those practices, those practices incorporated in this bill?
I think as we move forward and look at what some of the other states are doing, especially with the doulas in the care continuum, we have looked a lot at the importance of addressing Black maternal health nuances and having caregivers that reflect.
But specifically for this bill, the answer is no. I'm just trying to get the clarity because someone called me, and so again, if I have not had time to treat a piece of legislation, I'm not going to ever come up here and ask. I'm not going to ever come up here and act like I do know it. If I don't know it, I don't know it. And I think I've been consistent with that. So I'm just trying to get the clarity. And because your answer started with you did the trip or what have you to Richmond and you heard certain things, and it appeared as if it was going to be something now we'll do later on. I was just simply trying to get if any of those things that you saw or the information that you received there was able to be included in this piece of legislation. I don't think it was, so I'm not trying to put you on the spot or anything.
No,
Yeah.
I would just say that through the conversations I've had with the folks that I've reached out to and that have reached out to me, that's become a big topic of the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this bill really addresses all women and getting them into Medicaid. It doesn't really look at that in this bill per se.
And I get that, and while I appreciate that argument, the realization is, I think until we get to that point, because there is a difference in it, I don't care.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's undoubted. I mean, my doctor, we talk about it all the time. I mean, I'm in the Grandview system, and we talk about it all the time. And I've not met one doctor yet that has not said that they wish there were something, and most of my doctors are hardcore Republican doctors, and we talk about this issue. It's a very sensitive issue, but it's a very real issue. And
It's a very important issue.
There is a difference, and there are disparities when it comes to Black maternal health. And I understand, the decision this ain't about DEI, because every time you say the word Black these days, it's DEI. No, it's not DEI. It's just a subject that has always been on the table that has not been properly, unfortunately, addressed. And certainly those in the medical field that are experts, they certainly have spoke about it time and time again. It is something that I hope at some point that we do give some consideration for, here in this chamber. But
Absolutely, I totally agree.
Yeah, I appreciate your efforts, and I did want to just say one thing on yesterday. We do the 3 a days typically at the appropriate time. As much as I like to beat up on my Republican colleagues, but that is just a standard to have 3 a days the first 1 or 2 weeks. I just hope we don't have as many 3 a days as we had last year, because I've been down here 15 years and I don't think we ever had that many. So hopefully we won't do that many 3-day weeks until the end this year, after we get some of our bills out and they move it up there in God's country. So I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your thanks, lady. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Etowah, Representative Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I just want to say thank you for bringing this bill. This is a pro-life bill, and I just want to officially welcome you to the pro-life movement because every life is precious and created by God. Thank you.
Thank you.
Question for the body now is the Chair recognizes the lady from Mobile, Representative Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was kind of late there. Representative Lands, like the colleagues who come before us, I too would like to thank you for bringing this bill. And just note that this is a significant step in reducing infant and maternal mortality in the state of Alabama. And also, I don't know if anybody has already stated this or not, but this legislation will very likely save the state of Alabama and hospitals a substantial amount of money because it will reduce the amount of time that babies have to stay in NIC units. Is that correct? That's my understanding.
Absolutely.
We've had in fact, I had a niece here recently. Her band at Callaway Smith Middle School was the lead-off group of student musicians who played in Capitol Tunes. That's a project of the Department of Ed and a couple of other organizations. And I'm just so proud of her because she was 1 pound, 9 ounces when she was born, and now she's just doing wonders for her students at an inner city middle school. I can't remember the number of students who are in her band, but the students love her, and she always has as many students as she can get in that particular band program. So if not for programs like the University of South Alabama's going to increase the likelihood that preemies will have a nice long life. So thank you for this legislation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair thanks the lady. Chair recognizes the lady from Jefferson, Representative Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And you have a good bill. The comment I got to make is why we have to have high school attitudes about things. Why you got to come and interject pro-life. It's just a good bill trying to help some women that's trying to bring a baby into this world that incur all kind of medical conditions when you're pregnant. But we have to interject our high school mentality in everything that happens. It's a good bill. I appreciate it. But I had to get that out because every time I see us acting like we in high school and interjecting something in the bill that's not in the bill, I'm going to say that it's a good bill. Women struggle to bring babies into this world. And when I was pregnant, I became diabetic. Never had problems before. We have so many conditions that crop up because them hormones are so out of control during that time. It's a good bill. God bless you. And I thank the party that allowed you to bring it forth.
Question for the body now is final passage of HB 89. As substitute, clerk will unlock machine and members vote.
Mr. Speaker, I've been asked to open it up for co-sponsors.
Clerk will lock machine, record the vote, 102 ayes, 0 nays. HB 89 has passed as substituted. Mr. Clerk, over to them co-sponsors, please. Clerk will lock the machines. 56
you.
ayes, 56 co-sponsors.
Thank you all.
Chair thanks the lady. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 12 of the calendar, House Bill number 196 with substitute by Representative Wilcox relating to juvenile detention.
Thank you for the recognition, Mr. Speaker. It's my honor to present HB 196. In Mobile, about 50 years ago, there was a judge that was in charge of not only being the judge of the juvenile court, he was also the jailer. And we're in a different environment than we were 50 years ago, and that judge does not need to be in charge of that as well. Originally, this was passed as a local bill with local application. We're unable to do that, so I bring before you a statewide bill to accomplish transferring the control and care and custody of this detention facility to the Mobile County Commission, which they've been paying the expenses all along, and they welcome that. With that, I move for the BIR, please.
Chair recognizes the lady from Madison, Representative Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The lady yield.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm on page 1, line, upon the passage of a resolution. So now, you said this happened in Mobile, but this is a statewide, right?
Yes, ma'am. Originally, it was statewide with local application. We were unable to do that at this time on the advice of LSA, and so we're having to do it as a statewide bill. The County Commission Association put in a time limit to get it done to restrict its availability across the state.
And the time limit is 90 days, is that what I'm reading correctly?
Yes, ma'am.
So, okay.
And all of Mobile County is poised to act in a prompt and quick manner to accomplish this.
Okay, thank you.
And the other amendment had to do with the naming. Commissioner Ludgood preferred that instead of being referred to as a warden in the detention facility, she asked that it be superintendent of this facility. So that was the other modification to it.
But that would be in part of your resolution. It's not in here.
Ma'am?
I don't see that information relative in the bill. The resolution, it must be a part of your resolution.
It's an amendment that they put on in committee.
Oh, okay. So we're not. All right. Show me where. Upon the passage of the resolution, the commission may hire detention to manage the facilities.
And I have only the copy of the original bill, not of the substitute. Thank you. It is on page 1, line 18 and 19.
Upon the passage, the commission may hire a detention superintendent, but it doesn't name it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Chair thanks the lady. Question for the body now is adoption of the BIR. Clerk will lock the machine and the members vote.
Ern.
Is that the final passage or the BIR?
Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote, 100 ayes, 0 nays. BIR has been adopted. Madam Chair.
May I have final passage if there's no further questions?
That is the question.
As substituted.
We got a sub. Okay, we got to pass a sub.
Okay. I mentioned those substitute had to do with the time limit submitted by the County Commission Association to tighten up the availability and the renaming instead of being a warden to a superintendent.
You heard the explanation of the sub. Clerk will lock the machine and the members vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 96 ayes, 0 nays. Substitute has been adopted.
May I have final passage,
That's
please,
questions.
members?
Final passage of HB 196 as substituted. Clerk will lock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 98 ayes, 0 nays. HB 196 has passed as substituted.
Thank you, Body.
Thank the lady. Clerk, call up the next bill.
On page 23 of the calendar, House Bill number 168 by Representative Treadaway relating to local emergency management organizations.
Chairman Treadaway.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill comes from our good friends over at the Alabama County Commission Association. What this bill does, it proposes to simply update and align Alabama law with present-day emergency management operations and allow for local governing bodies to coordinate resources during any occasion that, if not adequately managed, poses a threat to the health and safety of Alabamians and their property. I'll be glad to answer any questions. If I not seeing none, Mr. Speaker, I ask for a BIR.
Question for the body is adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 102 ayes, 0 nays. BIR has been adopted. Mr. Chairman.
Move for final passage before she hits her button.
Ask questions. Final passage of HB 168. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 100 ayes, 0 nays. HB 168 has passed.
Thank you, members.
Thank you, gentlemen. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 6 of the calendar, House Bill number 52 by Representative Garrett relating to income taxes.
Chairman Garrett, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Several years ago, we passed legislation that allowed for the establishment of ABLE savings accounts. These are Achieving a Better Life Experience savings account. Allowed those to be deductible on Alabama income taxes. An ABLE account is a savings account or investment option for people with disabilities who qualify under IRS section code section 529A. It allows a person whose disability begins before age 26 to save money in the ABLE account without affecting most of their federally funded benefits based on need. The money in one account may be used to pay for qualified disability expenses. Any growth in that account investments is not taxed and does not count as income if the funds are used for qualified disability expenses. Currently in Alabama, you can deduct $18,000 against your Alabama income tax to establish one of these accounts, and that will, however, that is to sunset at the end of this year, December 31st, 2025. This bill would simply extend the sunset to 2030, so December 31st of 2030. So with that, Mr. Speaker, I move for the BIR.
Ask questions. Adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock the machine and members vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 102 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Speaker, move for final passage.
Ask questions. Final passage of HB 52. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 102 ayes, 0 nays. HB 52 has passed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, body.
Thank you, Chairman. Clerk, call up the next bill.
On page 12 of the calendar, House Bill number 191 by Representative Baker relating to sales and use taxes.
Chairman Baker.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Members, HB 191, first I need to explain on this something. Maybe, I think it was Representative Matt Simpson was asking me about the simplified seller's use tax. This is not what this bill is about. So although it's got streamlining sales and use tax exemption process on your sheet, I didn't want you to confuse the two. So this is not involving the simplified seller's use tax. There's been an effort to try to streamline the sales and use tax exemptions to local bodies. There are those that have felt like that at the state level we sometimes have gotten out of our lane in terms of mandating sales tax exemption, not just the state sales tax, but also for the locals as well, without them having an opportunity to have a say in this. And so that is what this bill does, is help to streamline the process for the locals to be able to opt in on their own. With that, I'll be glad to entertain any questions.
Chair recognizes the lady from Mobile, Chairwoman Wilcox.
Representative Baker, thank you for bringing this bill. And I know that we've had dialogue about the struggles with the hearing aid tax and the rescission of that tax on a local level. So thank you for helping work with the Department of Revenue. And not only now, they'll be sending out a notification through the one-stop portal, because it has really truly been a struggle to go to every city and county, and I've only accomplished maybe 6 so far. So thank you for doing that, and thank you for reaching out. And this morning, us having some dialogue with the Department of Revenue to make sure that not only that they have this deadline to get it done, but they will intercede to let them know of the opportunity, because a lot of them don't know of the opportunity that they could rescind the hearing aid tax. So I hope this is a solution, and I appreciate you bringing it.
Thank you so much for your patience and willingness to work on this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good day. I'm in sort of support.
Here, thanks, a lady.
Thank
Question for the body now is adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote.
I'll tell.
Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 102 ayes, 0 nays. The BR has been adopted.
Mr. Speaker, I move for final passage.
Next question is final passage of HB 191. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine as recorded vote. 103 ayes, 0 nays. HB 191 has passed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and members of the body. Thank you so
gentlemen.
much. Thank you.
Clerk, call next bill.
On page 2 of the calendar, House Bill number 45 by Representative Oliver relating to the Medicaid agency.
Chairman Oliver.
Mr. Speaker and body, this is a Medicaid bill that would require Alabama Medicaid to cover any non-invasive colorectal screening test as recommended by the U.S. Preventative Services Task Force, a recognized authority for these treatments. Why? Because Medicare, PHIP, which is our teachers, SEIB, state employees, 97% of all Blue plans, and 44 other state Medicaid programs offer it. Tennessee, Georgia, and Mississippi state Medicaid programs spend less than $500,000 on this test annually. And this test actually replaces a more expensive test. So we believe that it would save money in the long run and make Alabamians healthier. And with that, I'd ask for the BIR.
Next question is adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 103 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted.
And I believe I have an amendment, sir.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Madison, Chairman Reynolds.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Chairman. Will you yield, sir?
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you bringing this to my attention. This is one of those situations where a bill tracked through health department, and there was a physical note that brought to your attention. You came to me. We have concerns. You and I both have concerns with the physical note. I think the uncertainty is around the Alabama with the Medicaid projected it could have a $4.5 million impact on the general fund. However, you've looked at about 3 or 4 other states that did it for probably less than $600,000.
Right.
And as you said at the microphone, we think this may end up saving us money. So I think we have a mutual agreement to allow me to put a sunset on this. And so, Mr. Speaker, I've got
Clerk, see the amendment.
Amendment to House Bill number 45 by Representative Reynolds.
Chairman Reynolds, explain your sub.
Thank you. The action line here is replace line 37 on page 2 with the following. This section shall be repealed 2 years after the effective date of this act. That'll give us time to look at some numbers, and I'm sure the chairman that if everything looks good, we'll pull that off.
Chairman Oliver, you see it as a friendly amendment.
Friendly amendment.
He sees this as a friendly amendment. I've got some lights on. You want to speak on the amendment or the bill? Okay. Chair recognizes a lady from Macon, Representative Warren.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will gentleman yield?
Certainly.
I just want to say thank you
for being amenable to accept this amendment from the chairman, because when I heard your bill and knowing the dire straits that we are in our general fund, I just couldn't see adding that much money to it. But by your accepting this amendment and working with this to see what the actual results of the actual cost is going to be within a 2-year period, we'll work and say, again, like I told you, you got a good heart, but I just wanted to make sure you had the money in your pocketbook.
Oh, there you
We
go.
wasn't sure about that. So again, thank you for accepting this amendment.
Thank you.
Okay, you've heard the explanation. The sponsor sees it as a friendly amendment. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the vote. 102 ayes, 0 nays. The amendment has passed.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Oliver.
Final passage.
Chair recognizes a lady from Jefferson, Representative Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With what your bill cover, the person who has this diagnosis, do they have to already be on Medicaid?
I didn't understand the question, Representative.
Okay, I think your bill takes into consideration someone that's diagnosed with colorectal
Actually, this is a tool for diagnosis.
Right,
What it
okay.
does is, instead of having to spend more money on a colonoscopy, we would actually use this program, which is much cheaper, to do essentially the same thing.
But does the person already have to be on Medicaid?
They need to be on Medicaid.
'cause
This
that's-
is only for Medicaid.
Okay, and they have to already be there. So I wanted to make sure that we didn't have some form of Medicaid expansion.
Thank you.
Question for the body now is final passage of HB 45 as amended. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the vote. 102 ayes, 0 nays. HB 45 has passed as subbed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 15 of the calendar, House Bill number 156 with substitute by Representative Lee relating to criminal procedure.
Chairman Lee, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Under the existing law, an individual today may only be arrested with an out-of-state warrant if the individual has been charged with a crime that is punishable by death or a life imprisonment. That changes this. If they have a felony and come through our state, they don't have to have the warrant in hand. This is an old law, and I think a lot of it is due to technology. Today we can look that up and find it. That just explained the substitute, so that's what the substitute has.
Okay, the question for the body is adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the votes. 94 ayes, 0 nays, 3 abstentions. The BR has been adopted. Okay, you've heard the explanation of the substitute. The chairman has explained that. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the votes. 94 ayes, 0 nays. Substitute has been adopted. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Speaker, I move for final passage.
That is questions. Final passage of HB 156 as substituted. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the votes. 92 ayes, 0 nays. HB 156 has passed as substituted.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and the
Thank
body.
you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Clerk, let's call up the next bill.
On page 2 of the calendar, House Bill number 79 by Representative Brown relating to the State Board of Pharmacy and Employers.
Chairman Brown, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Members, I have House Bill 79. Last year, we passed a bill that extended protection for doctors that prescribe off-label medication. And what off-label medication is, it's an approved drug that's used for a different purpose. An example would be diabetes drugs that are used for weight loss, or chemotherapy drugs that are used for different ones than other they were intended to. What this bill does is just extends protection to pharmacists that fill a doctor's prescription for an off-label medication. Mr. Speaker, I call for the BR.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Shelby, Representative Mooney.
Yeah, he did.
Thank you, sir. Greatly appreciated. The whole process of medical care historically has always been a physician before we had MDs. Now that we have MDs, it's doctors with patients and informed consent in the process. And pharmacists are put into a bind when physicians have looked at something and they pharmaceutical so-and-so also works to help with something else. And obviously we've all heard about a diet thing that goes on these days with a medicine. But it is definitely important and needed, and pharmacists should not be held in any breach in the process. Thank you for bringing it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Question for the body is adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record vote. 101 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I call for final passage.
That's the question. Final passage of HB 79. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record vote. 101 ayes, 0 nays. HB 79 has passed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, members.
Thank you, gentlemen. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 19 of the calendar, House Bill number 161 with substitute by Representative Lipscomb relating to building codes.
Representative Lipscomb.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Currently, the state of Alabama utilizes the International Building Code throughout all commercial construction. However, it is not standardized. Every city, every county uses a different version. This will standardize the version so that anyone who is building, designing, etc., will be on the same page no matter where they may travel to. I do have a committee substitute for this bill.
You heard the explanation of the bill. Question for the body is adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the vote. 98 ayes, 2 nays, 1 abstention. The BR has been adopted. Representative Lipscomb.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to make a motion to adopt the committee substitute.
Care to explain your sub?
The sub simply states that the bill does not apply to residences. It does increase the span of the code update from 3 to 6 years. It does not require an architect for maintenance or cosmetic finish upgrades. It does not apply to agricultural buildings, and it does not, or it does permit healthcare facilities to continue to adopt federal and state requirements.
Yeah, you've heard the explanation of sub. Representative Morris, you want to speak on the sub or the bill? Okay. Question for the body now is adoption of the sub. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock machine. Record the votes. 98 ayes, 0 nays. Substitute has been adopted. Representative Lipscomb.
I'd make a motion to final passage, please.
Chair recognizes the lady from Montgomery, Representative Morris.
With the gentleman here.
I will.
Can you give me just a couple examples of being standardized?
Yes.
Because, you know, I love building.
Absolutely.
So I just want to know.
So every 3 years, the International Building Code gets updated. Minor tweaks, minor adjustments, typo corrections, that sort of thing. The problem is that every city and every county does not automatically do that. So you may have one city that's using the 2021 version another city using the 2015. There is one in this state using the 2005 version. So what this will do is just put everybody on the same version.
Okay, so it's just
Yeah.
nothing dealing with like the basic codes
No,
of
no,
it.
no.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Hale, Representative Travis.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With the gentleman, you here?
Certainly.
Yeah, the question I had in referencing your commercial code buildings and everything, in particular in rural areas where we don't have, and the thing that came to my mind, I thought was like Dollar Generals. You know, we have them popping, you know, up in many of our rural parts of the community, and we have absolutely, how do we deal with that, or who will be required to make sure those commercial buildings are being applied or, you know, constructed and everything?
Good question. So currently the state does mandate, even if you don't have a building official in that county, you may not. Not every county has a building official.
Right.
But the state building code still applies to everybody regardless of that fact. What the bill doesn't do is it absolutely does not mandate that that county has to get a building official.
Okay. Because that's what we have. We have a lot of rural areas, and you know, of course, they're there, but you know, they're going up, and then even in the county like I have Tuscaloosa, we don't have a building code. So once you get outside the planning jurisdiction, then you know, then it is a city planning jurisdiction. There is no one to regulate that, and I know we're having that going up, and I'm assuming that they all making sure they're taking it. But you know, the whole issue is that's a commercial building. How do we make sure that it is being built to standard? And I guess the other thing, if there's something happens that closes, somebody else want to do, how do we deal with making sure there's a renovations if something like that takes place that is being met?
I would certainly recommend that every municipality and every county have a building official, but I'm not mandating that here. So I would suggest you talk to your people and say, hey, let's get somebody on board.
That's the thing, in particular, when our Tuscaloosa County is one that I wish, because we have a lot of residents, but I think that's one reason they don't want to touch it, because they have to be dealing with residential, and I think they just will. But anyway, that's why I had, you know, just trying to make sure we have an enforcement mechanism when we don't have a code to deal with that.
Right.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Chair thanks the gentleman. The question for the body now is passage of the bill as substituted. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 97 ayes, 2 nays. HB 161 has passed as substituted.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, gentlemen. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 16 of the calendar, House Bill number 190 by Representative Shaver relating to adoption.
Chair Lady Shavers, you're recognized.
Thank you, Dr. Speaker. Y'all know we now have a new doctor in the House.
Doctor in the house. Yep.
I appreciate the recognition. HB 190 is some revisions to the overhaul that we did of the adoption code in 2023. In practice, there were some issues that needed some clarity for interpretation, and I have had the pages to pass out a list of those so that you can see them in the code references that were changed. And also, they also gave a flow chart that shows the different types of adoptions and the things and how it's been changed. So with that, Mr. Speaker, I will move for the BIR.
The chair recognizes the lady from Madison, Representative Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the lady yield?
Yes, ma'am.
So I just received this flow chart, so took me, it takes a little while. So help me presently, tell me what the adoption process is, and then, or you take me through this, the process now, because this bill is minor adoption as well as adult adoptions, right?
in the major revision that we did, we separated the code sections for minor adoptions versus adult adoptions.
Right.
And we now have different rules for some than others. As you can see in that pretty little flow chart, under what kind of adoption, it tells you the steps there. Whether
Okay,
it's
so if you want to do that and that makes it easier, you can start with, if I'm on the left side, am I dealing with the adult or the minor?
no, that's with a person who is in DHR custody.
Okay.
So that's different. And then you can see if it's a step-parent adoption, a relative adoption, and then all other adoptions. The differences are mainly in the investigations that are required, and adult adoptions are not as complicated as an adoption for a minor.
And that's good. So when I go to the left, under adoptions for permanent custody.
That's for a child in
That's for a
custody
child.
of DHR, right?
Right. Who is going through the DHR process.
Mhm.
That investigation is more comprehensive. Is that what you're saying?
It is. There is
Okay.
the DHR is investigated. They're in charge of that child,
Right.
and they're doing a complete and full investigation of those
Sure.
who wish to adopt. Mhm.
And then under the step-parent adoption, the investigation is less investigated.
Correct,
Less,
because the child is already in the home with their legal parent,
Right.
who has married, and now you've got a step parent, and that step parent wants to adopt. So, there's some assumption there that child is already in a good home with its legal parent. So there's investigation is more on the step parent that's adopting versus the legal parent.
Okay.
So
the relative
same thing.
adoption.
Same thing.
So are you
that-
saying that now would and remember now, I haven't read these because I got this
That's fine,
today.
yeah.
Are you saying that the step-parent adoption and the relative adoption are pretty much within the same line, the same process?
Close. It's close because you see there that the adoptee has to be in the residence for at least a year in
Right.
either of those cases.
Right.
And then you've got a legal parent or a relative that's adopting. So the investigation is not as stringent as a stranger.
All right. And then all other adoptions, now is that seems to, from my observation on this chart, that it is pretty much the same as those individuals that are with DHR.
There may not be there is a pre-placement and a post-placement, but that's more like with the adult adoptions.
Okay. All right. Okay.
And then the other steps are the same for both. So that's the main differences that we just covered.
There was another question I had. Let's see. Oh, I know. I was looking for the bill that would define what de facto parent-child relationship as it relates to adult adoption. How do you define that?
De facto is if the person who wishes to adopt, if they have been providing care and monetary support for the adoptee for at least a year during the time that person was in the minority, then that is established de facto parent-child relationship. They don't have to prove anything else to the judge. That says that happened, it's a fact, so the adoption can move forward.
And then the last question I think I have is allowing the child, if it's a child, the right to be able to receive or request their adoption papers.
Well, there's certain things they can request once they get of age. Once they become of age, then there's certain documents they can request.
Right, and so I find, and I was here when it's been like in the 90s, where we made that type of provision, because prior to that time you couldn't. I'm a mother of an adopted child, so I understand that. But prior to that time, you were not able to have access to the child's record, or you had to go to court.
Well, there were open and closed adoptions, right?
Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for the bill. Thank you for responding to my questions, and I think you've answered all of them.
Well, thank you for your questions.
Chair thanks the lady. Chair recognizes the lady from Mobile, Representative Drummond.
Mr. Speaker, will the gentlewoman yield?
Of course.
And I thank you too for the chart and for these revisions, because this is such an important aspect of what DHR does. But I just wanted a little bit of clarification on the revisions that you're making to the adoption code.
Sure.
What counties, you said certain counties, the petition must be filed in certain counties. What counties are those?
Let me see where you're looking at. Because we changed to establish that.
So it won't be all counties?
Okay.
It won't be
right.
all 67 counties?
No, it applies to all counties, and that's where it should be filed. So it has to be where the petitioner resides, but under certain circumstances, like if for a due cause, if that court's too busy, if their docket is booked up, there's several different reasons why it would, and all parties agree to move it to a different court.
Oh, okay.
So before it said
to help.
Right. Before it said May, and it sounded like you could just file in any county. So no, this is shall. You should file where you're supposed to file originally.
To sort of speed up the process.
Well, it's a clarifying that you filed in the proper court to start with, but there's an exception if you want to move it to a different court.
Okay. Now, also in that same line, it talked about extraordinary circumstances,
Right.
such as judicial economy.
Right.
Tell
That's
me
what I
about
just
that.
explained. Because like Jefferson County, I'm sure their dockets are just lengthy and smack full, but over in Cherokee County, where I live, we're fewer in population, and our dockets may not be as long, so that they could move it if the parties agree. They could move it to a different county for expedition to get it done sooner instead of having to wait such a long period of time.
When I read that, and it may not have anything to do with your bill, but I'm wondering, Representative Simpson had a bill earlier this week, and it dealt with emergency cases and expanding it to circuit and district court, especially where those divorce cases go through. Will this sort of help us to ease those processes? Because
it'll help
a lot of
speed
those
up
kids will be going through those processes.
Right, if we've got, like I said, if where it's supposed to be filed, if they're just slammed, and can't get to it in a year or two, that's just too long to wait. So
how long?
I'm just guessing what court dockets are. I don't know, but we don't want to delay an adoption simply because a docket's very full.
So this should speed up the process.
It should allow them to move if the parties agree. If there's some extraordinary circumstance, to let them go to a different court and be heard sooner.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Baldwin, Representative Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Madam Chair, will you
Yes.
yield? I just want to commend you for your efforts on this. The effort that this committee has put together, I'm a part of that email chain where they're meeting almost weekly and sometimes twice a week just to go over line by line on the details of this. This is such important legislation. You have been the spearhead on adoption legislation in the state of Alabama since you've been here. It's been a priority of yours. It's been something that you've taken the ball and run with. We created this adoption legislation as it is now because of your leadership, and I just want to commend you for continuing the fight to making sure that, hey, it's not something you just want the headlines for. You actually want to get it right, and you should be commended for that.
Well, I appreciate your words, but it's the committee. We've got the best people, the most knowledgeable people in this state that know everything about adoption. I couldn't put in a thimble what I know based on what these people know. They're the experts. They've done the work, and I'm just glad to help. But thank you.
Thank the gentleman. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Mobile, Representative Shary.
Representative, I think you know that adoption is very near and dear to my heart.
I do.
My wife being an adopted only child.
Yes.
We talked earlier about this bill and how they're basically administrative changes to
There's
make the bill
nothing
better.
huge, major policy difference. Yeah.
I appreciate your efforts. I know you've lived this bill for probably the last 4 or 5 years. So thank you for bringing the bill and thank you for the changes.
Well, thank you for your comments.
Question for the body is adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote.
I think so.
Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote, 101 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted. Madam Chair,
Mr. Speaker, I move for final passage.
Chair recognizes the lady from Jefferson, Representative Van.
Wandlin. I'm ready.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. When I come here and you all are prepared, you have your sticky notes and color-coded sticky notes. Jenny, first of all, again, thank you for your efforts. I applaud you just as I applauded you last year for your efforts in making a lot of the necessary changes. I think last year maybe I can't remember if it was a question of the waivers or what have you, but let me ask this. Give me just a couple. Why did you all feel, I guess my question is, why did you all feel that those changes that you're recommending now were necessary?
Well, just it's been in practice now. It's been in force since January 1st of 24. And so after having a year and the committee has continued to work on it, but just some issues came up about needing some clarity for interpretation, some differentiate what applied to county DHRs versus state DHR, just some things like that. And just there had been some different interpretations of the new bill, so it was just for clarity.
Okay, and I see that. So if you don't mind, will you just share with me a few of the differences between the local versus the state?
In that sheet that you have.
And the reason why is I've always thought that they acted as one entity since it was DHR.
Well, the locals are under the state, but as far as what their requirements are in the process,
okay.
It's just specifying when you say it's up to DHR. Well, are you talking about county or are you talking about the state?
I got you.
And so it was just for those reasons to specify which one needed to do what.
Okay, so can you just tell me what those are? Oh, I thought you were going to tell me what the differences were.
Oh, well,
Sorry.
those code sections are listed in that Why Revise the Adoption Code. Did you get a copy of this? Did you get a copy of this?
I did.
Okay. When it says, the first thing to distinguish between the roles, all those code sections are listed there.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look those up, you can just see that it just adds in if it means state or county in each one of those.
Now, I too, which I knew that the adoption typically is supposed to be in the circuit of jurisdiction where the child or petitioner resides. But I guess my question is too, because the way it reads, when you say establish that an adoption petition must be filed in certain counties, that is somewhat, and I understand if there's something going on, and I know in smaller counties, they sort of kind of maybe sometimes I think flip-flop, not necessarily flip-flop, but
The law
they're-
specifies where it has to be filed, but it just changed the word may to shall so that it gets the normal proper filing. But if there's a extraordinary reason, and one of those being judicial economy, then it allows, and if both parties agree, that you can move to a different county. So
I am confused about stipulate what it takes for withdrawal of the effective, including the relevant factors, as well as what happens regarding the custody of the adoptee. I wasn't sure what that meant.
there's a withdrawal form
Uh-huh.
that they fill out, so they have to file it with the court or mail it within 5 days and have it postmarked.
Would they have been doing something different than?
It's just specifying that there is a form and the dates when it must be filed, given a time frame that it's got to be filed with that court or mailed and postmarked within 5 days. So, and then,
Okay, let's get down to the notice, because notice has always been an issue. And I think when last year, I think that was one of the points that we discussed for a period of time. And so I see here, I'm just going by the talking points that you had, so you won't have to try to give me a response as to.
are you talking about notice of an unknown father?
Allow alternative method of notice if
Oh,
service
that's-
cannot be perfected.
If-
And I thought we worked through that last year. I don't know why.
Well, this just specifies that the court follows the notice requirements laid out by the state
Yeah.
rules of procedure.
Okay, that's what
But if they do all that, and they can do something additional, not something instead of. But if they want to file additional notice, try to find somebody in addition to that. They can, not that they have to, but they can.
And that would be the court, right? I just want to make sure we're not abandoning the rules of civil procedure.
No. They have to follow rules first. But if they want to do something in additional to that, then they can.
Okay. All right. I'll take a further look at it just to make sure I'm clear on those modifications, to see exactly how it actually lays out in the construct of the bill itself. Okay, well, I'll take a look at it, because I can't go, since you're my girl, I can't go any deeper asking my questions. I don't want you to give me the evil eye up here, Jenny from the block. Okay, but I appreciate it. Thank you. Good job.
Thank you. Oh, no, can't have my pen.
You recognize the lady from Jefferson, Representative Moore.
Mr. New Speaker. But hey, I believe I like your bill. My only concern, does this diagram here is a diagram of all of the changes?
No,
or how
ma'am.
do I define the changes?
No, that's
looking at the
overall. From
diagram?
that's not what we're doing today. That was just from the major bill, the major overhaul we
So-
did. It was just to simplify it, to show you what we've done.
So don't you think it was better if you want to do a diagram like this to help us, if you're going to do one, if we could see what's new and what's old?
Well, what's new is on this sheet about why revise the adoption code.
So how do I take what's on that sheet and apply it to this diagram?
Well, the
That's
code
kinda
sections are listed there, and they're also listed on this sheet, so you could match those
I got
up,
to
or
put
just
'em up
look
and
in the
match 'em.
bill and at those particular code sections, because they're all listed.
So I almost didn't
on
need
here.
this. I probably should be more
Well,
concerned
you-
about what's new.
I just thought it was a way to show you, to have it simplified, to show you what has changed. And
Well, when you passed it out, I was under the impression it was the diagram to show us what was new. I
Oh,
think
no,
that
no,
what
no.
you're doing
It was
is
just
good,
overall
But if
to-
I got to look at something, I just thought that this was a simplified way of us telling what had been modified in it, and that was my only question.
Okay.
I couldn't see it.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Garrett from Jefferson.
Thank you. How you doing? Will you,
I'm
will you
good.
yield?
Yes.
First of all, I want to say to you, I appreciate. I have a constituent who is very much involved in these kind of issues. You've worked with her. She
Yes.
is involved both nationally and in Montgomery, and so I wanted to make sure that she was, aware of what was going on. I think she's been at the committee meetings and whatnot.
She was in the.
She was last year. I referred her to you, and you spent a lot of time with her, and she was very comfortable with the legislation you had last year. How is this different from last year's?
It's just some cleanup, and she was in Judiciary Committee
Okay.
when I had this bill before the committee, and I spoke with her,
Okay.
and she did not indicate any kind of
Okay.
problems that she had, and I
but it's very
think
similar.
she would have.
Yeah, it's very similar to last year's. But
There's
yes,
nothing major in these changes. It's just some clarity and some cleanup, just being specific. There had been some different interpretations
So
in
as
some
you know,
certain
this
areas.
is not my wheelhouse. So
Yes,
but,
sir.
But she mentioned the phrase "punitive father."
Mhm.
Has that been materially changed in this version versus last year?
No,
Okay.
no. The only difference is referring to the father in that kind of manner as an unknown father. Previously, well, this allows. It's going to require that you post notice. As it stands now, if there's an unknown father, they don't have to post notice. And then you've got fathers coming up saying, well, this is my kid, everybody knows it. He's even named after me, but nobody knows how to get in touch with him. He's in and out of their lives or whatever. And so to keep him from saying, I didn't get a notice.
Okay.
So this requires that they post a notice for an unknown father just so they can check that box and say, hey, we did what we could. We tried.
Okay.
So.
Well, again,
just-
I don't know enough to really have a discussion with you, but I do know it's important to her, and she was very comfortable with the work you've done before. I think that she's probably okay with this, but I just wanted to verify there were no big changes, because I will
she's
hear
a friend
about
of
it
mine now. And so and her being there, I think she would have
Yeah, and
voiced if she had any objections from
It's
what
a
she
very
heard.
this is a very important area for her.
Yes.
She's in Washington D.C. a lot, working on
Yes.
these issues. So I don't want to minimize that at all, but I just want to make sure that I represent. her
Absolutely.
feelings. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Question for the body's final passage of HB 190. The clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 103 yeas, no nays. HB 190 passes. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I did have a member to ask me to open it up for co-sponsors if anyone chooses to do so.
Question, the clerk will unlock the machine for co-sponsors. Clerk will lock the machine, record the co-sponsors. 82 yeas, 82 sponsors.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and the body.
Clerk will call the next bill in the special order calendar.
On page 8 of the calendar, House Bill number 72 with substitute by Representative Wharton relating to motor vehicles.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Madison, Mr. Wharton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Actually, this is a firefighter bill, same bill we had last year. It didn't make it through the Senate. It's a distinctive tag bill for firefighters. And what we're doing is going from $1 to $10. And with that, I ask for the BR.
Question for the body's adoption of the BR. The clerk will unlock the machines and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 103 yeas, no nays. The BR is adopted.
Ask for the final passage.
Question for the body's adoption of the substitute. The clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 103 ayes, no nays. The substitute is adopted.
Final passage.
Question for the body is now final passage of HB 72 is substituted. The clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 103 yeas, no nays. HB 72 passes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, body.
Clerk will call the next bill in the special order calendar.
On page 15 of the calendar, House Bill number 27 with substitute by Representative Underwood relating to sex offenders.
Chair recognizes Representative Underwood.
Thank you for the recognition. This bill, HB 27, prohibits sex offenders from being employed or volunteered as a first responder. It passed the House last year, and with that very short but detailed explanation, I call for the BR.
Question for the body's adoption of the BIR. The clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 102 yeas, no nays. The BIR is adopted.
There's a substitute.
Question for the body's adoption of the substitute. The clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Have all the members voted? Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 98 yeas, no nays. The substitute is adopted.
Call for final passage.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Marengo, Mr. McCampbell.
It took that wording out. We didn't think it's necessary.
So, okay, it took out who's responsible for the reporting of it?
It didn't take out who's responsible. It just added stronger wording to the responsibilities. That it was responsibility of the sex offender. And we just felt like the bill was good as is from last year. There was some inquiries from the trial lawyers, so we took that out and just put it back to the same wording as last year.
Okay.
That's the only difference between the two.
Okay.
It's the same as last, yeah.
Question for the body's final passage of HB 27 is substituted. The clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Have all the members voted? The clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 103 yeas, no nays. HB 27 passes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, body.
Clerk will call the next bill in the special order calendar.
On page 14 of the calendar, House Bill number 243 by Representative Whitt relating to the state ad valorem tax.
Thank you for the recognition, Mr. Speaker. And members, this bill creates the Alabama Development Fund while developing a very creative funding mechanism for such. This will allow Alabama to remain competitive and even excel beyond our neighboring states by focusing the funds on the purpose where we're really needing those economic dollars to go and look at. That is promoting our rural development in rural communities, establishing international offices across the country and the world, where we only have one currently now in Germany, and our neighboring states have multiple. And then the quality of place initiatives that will also be funding out of this bill. this is no new taxes. This is, as I mentioned, this is a new thinking outside of the box where we will actually claw back some of the abatements that we are doing moving forward. There's about 150, 200 companies across the state that we give abatements to, and we will be taking back some of that abatement. All the business community is on board with this. This is rural development. We'll be taking back 0.75% of the sales tax that has been abated as well, and that will go into this new fund. If we had this fund in place last year, it would be about $24 million that we had. So this is actually companies paying to play in Alabama. Of course, they will be eligible for all the other grant programs we have, seeds, things of that nature. So that, Mr. Speaker, good definition. I'll ask for BR.
Chair recognizes the gentleman, Representative Garrett of Jefferson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Will you yield?
Absolutely.
So I understand this is a bill that's supported by the Commerce Department. They've been very involved in this, and it's a creative way, as you said, to make sure that we're helping our budgets, but also the people who might be impacted by this are those who are enjoying the benefits that are on the backside of what we're doing these investments. So it provides for, I think, sustainability for this program, and also is budget conscious, and it's a good economic development.
It is that.
Described, right?
That's
yeah.
right. Again, and this is a bill that was well thought out, well vetted, and certainly one is we're not touching any of our funds and our taxes. We have to think outside some of the box to get these. So thank you for your comments.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Mooney of Shelby County.
Thank you, sir. Had a couple of questions. Trying to understand. So currently, it's abated.
Yeah. So as you know, in economic development deals and things across the state, you'll have sales tax abatement or the millage rate abatement. Moving forward, beginning into this 2026, then, and any new companies or anything that relocates here, then we will be withholding some of that abatement back.
So it's only with new companies.
It's only with
not
new
affecting
companies and does not affect any
current.
existing abatements. And then second of all, it will follow that abatement agreement. So if it's a 10-year deal or if it's a 15-year deal, then we will just be taking a slice out of that moving forward to put into this pool of money.
Okay, that's what I was trying to get an understanding of, because I had some questions that were posed to me.
Sure.
And could not, from a standpoint of like the commercial developments that I've been involved in all my life.
That's right.
There are abatements that occur because cities do it, counties do it, and now obviously with this is something the state does. But their question was, is this applying across the board to everybody, or is it just on new things that occur? It wouldn't be quite as much abatement that might go through this program.
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just wanted to
you're
try
right,
to
you're right.
understand that. Do you know the amount that's projected for this to be?
So it's about $26 to $28 million a year.
Okay.
Which will be a huge shot in the farm for our efforts to do economic development in these rural communities.
I bet.
I'm very excited about it.
I can imagine there's some projects we've had that have been going into some rural areas lately that could have used some additional funds that the state's been asked to put into certain
That's right.
projects and such.
So this keeps it out of that general fund. So
it might be better spent on commercial development.
Yeah. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Hall of Madison.
Thank you. Would the gentleman yield?
Yes, ma'am.
Just trying to make sure I am clear. You mentioned presently we provide clawbacks for different companies.
This will be the way that we will not necessarily claw back, but companies that are coming into the state to do new business. This is just moving forward, not clawbacking anything that if I misspoke, clawbacking anything of previous companies.
Okay.
This is not touching any of that. This is just new companies as they come in, and we offer those abatements and tax abatements. Then we'll have the ability, or with that, to collect the taxes, and then a certain percentage of it will go into this new fund. So it's not necessarily clawing back where, in the essence of maybe they didn't hit the projection numbers, the employee numbers, or anything of that nature. This is where you're at with just the abatement itself for new companies, if that
So
makes
new
sense.
companies coming, it doesn't have anything to do
No.
with the companies that are already here.
That's correct.
New companies coming in, whatever the amount of taxes is, then they're going to reduce it 3-4%. You said 3-4
3/4% on the
Sales-
sales tax that will come in. It'll generate a little over $20 million for this fund. And then the property tax, with a 1% millage, it will take about $4 million.
So you also mentioned the other programs that that presently exist, such as seeds and innovation, that they may possibly benefit from those
Absolutely.
projects.
So and they'll be getting opportunities for the grants for the seeds, AIDT, Innovate Alabama, a lot of these other grant programs that we already use. It doesn't exclude them from that. It's just when we do the abatements, this will be the portion that will come back into this fund.
So that would be a part of their contract or whatever that you
That's correct,
provide
yeah,
for them.
yeah.
Okay. And so in terms of, I think I heard a question about how it helps our budget. You project the amount to be?
So it's projected to be about $28 million, but as you know, sometimes we have large development project requests that hits our general fund that comes in, or the state needs to come up with several millions of dollars to incentivize a company to come here. This is something we think that will replace that, and that is certainly our goal, to expand into rural development, the quality of life, as we've talked about. And one other area that I think is very important is the branching out into our international community and expanding our footprints across the world. Where we come from in Huntsville, how many multinational companies are doing business with us. So if we could put a body in Japan, if we could put a body somewhere to be promoting us, I think that'd be a great idea. And again, this is self-funding per se. The companies will be funding it.
Well, you're definitely speaking outside the box. That is really good. I have one other question.
Yes.
Is it possible that we could use this same process for our prisons? When I look at the amount of dollars that has been projected to even for the new prison, is there any way that this application could be used towards that project?
Not probably on this bill, but I'm not an expert on that. I'll have to refer to someone else.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Question for the body's adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 99 yeas, no nays. The BIR is adopted. Chair recognizes Representative Yarborough from Morgan.
Thank you, recognition. Just so I couldn't quite hear earlier the questions that were being asked, so just so I understand. So this unabatement applies to future companies that come into the state?
Future companies in the state, that's correct.
Okay, and just for the sake of my education on what was the process when you chose certain portions of state and ad valorem and construction related taxes? Like, I guess, why were those chosen as the...
Well, that was part of the abatement. As you know, well know that these are some things that are the carrots to get the companies in the state of Alabama to open up their operations and do business with Alabama. So we do give these abatements and multiple things out across the board, AIDT, seeds, et cetera. So, we felt that this was a good way to think outside of the box and let the companies pay for themselves as they come into Alabama. They're wanting to come in and do business with us. Maybe they get a 4-layer cake instead of just a 5-layer cake.
Sure. Okay, and I guess in the context of perhaps what other states are doing, it's considered competitive, I suppose.
Well, yeah, that's absolutely. And again, I know that the city of Huntsville and Mobile is doing this. So, and it's been very successful for them, and we want to make sure that we take it statewide.
Okay, but my biggest question was just
Sure.
that it was future versus existing and how that would work.
Yep, that's right. You're right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Harrison of Lauderdale.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Witt, thank you. You know that this, as we've had discussion, this has been a very difficult issue for me. I served 2 terms on the Limestone County Commission, and during that time we had a bunch of companies come through, a bunch of projects, Toyota Mazda, Polaris, Remington, what was it, GE
Right.
Aviation, yeah. So it's been, and I've had a difficult time with this because in principle, what we are doing with how we do economic development. I'm all for economic development, believe me. But how we do this is in a manner where we're actually tilting the playing field. And we're picking winners and we're picking losers. And usually we're favoring companies that have huge economies of scale at the cost of our smaller businesses. My view on economic development and our job as government is to level the playing field, make sure we level the playing field. We're to be the referees that make sure everybody plays by the rule, but over time we have become players in that. We've become players instead of referees. And so my view on how we ought to attract these industries is what is your tax level, okay? What is your property tax level, your income tax level? And we should have even rates for all corporations. And so that to me is huge. So, and I'll just give you some stories on when Toyota Mazda came, or before Toyota Mazda came in. I was speaking on, I think it was either Polaris or Bocar, that project, and I was saying, hey, look at what Toyota did back when they put a truck plant down in San Antonio. Alabama was in the running for that. South Carolina, Texas, a bunch of other states were in the running for that, and they went to the state that had the lowest economic incentive package. And people ask them, why did you do that? Why did you go to the one that gave you the lowest incentives and not the ones that gave you the highest incentive? And the VP of site selection said that, well, we found that it's not good to squeeze local governments. And I read that. And so when Toyota Mazda, and I didn't know Toyota Mazda was coming in, and I actually voted for that project. And for this reason, when they came in, they were asking $2 million from us in cash, in addition to the abatements. And they did not ask any cash from us, from Limestone County, and we were the host county. And that's almost a historical precedent. So it is not the cash and some of the incentives that's the main player. It's what's your level of crime, what's their logistics. There's a lot of factors, and the cash and the abatements is down like number 8 on what they consider when they decide to come into an area. Right. And I've talked to had several discussions with Greg Canfield, former Commerce Secretary, and when you talk to them, they say, we wish we didn't have to do this, but everybody else is doing it, and if we don't do it, we will lose out. And the everybody else is doing it argument, I don't know if you knew my mother, but when I was growing up, if I said everybody else is doing it, she'd say, well, if everybody else was jumping off a cliff, would you? And so I try to do things by principle, and I know I am in the minority in this position that I hold, but I think that we need to think and try to do those things that we can do that isn't within our lanes, in government lanes, to try to attract these businesses. You know, the tax level, okay, and they're going to go where they can have the lowest landed cost to their customers. They're going to locate there, and that the logistics and the supply chains, that's huge to them. So my encouragement to everybody, and the reason I bring this up, is that these things need to be pointed out. Now, I have gone to congressmen about this issue and say, hey, why, what can we do? Because I went to them, they said, yes, this is bad. This is not free market. This is bad on principle. But this is a states' rights issue. You have to do it and attack it at the state level. And I agree with them. Now, it's rare that you get a congressman that will talk about states' rights, but it is a states' right issue. And I don't know what the answer is, Representative. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was just saying, you and I have had this conversation, and I told you that I would not get up here and debate you on the mic or whatever.
Okay, no,
regarding
but
this. But I'll tell you to go ahead and get you some colleagues across the state, the Southeast, Georgia, Tennessee, Florida, and have them send their resolutions and let them play by the rules that they're not giving any tax incentives. That's probably where I would start. But Alabama's in the business to do business, and that's what we're going to do. And we're going to pass this bill. My hopes are that we're going to pass this bill.
No doubt.
And we're going to put $20-30 million in economic development in rural Alabama. So I appreciate your comment.
Yeah,
and I'll yield your last 3 minutes.
Yeah. And so, and that's true. If we could get the southern states to compact to do the same thing, that's hard to do. But I do want to make the point that this is not free market economics. Everybody else is doing it. We got to do it. But I try to take votes based upon principle, not on expediency. And this is a non-expedient vote. I understand that. And I will tell you, this bill actually is an improvement on the current system. Okay, it is, and we've made, and Secretary Tanfield and I talked about this. We have made vast improvements since the $2 billion loss on ThyssenKrupp. They have gone they put clawback procedures that we used with Remington. When Remington went belly up, we were able to claw back some of that. That's an improvement. And so I want to continue to improve this system because this is not, we've got so much consolidation on the top end, and a lot of the smaller businesses, they're just scarfing up, and that's not good. You want to have a broad base of industries at every level. So I
understand,
but
we can agree to disagree.
Yeah.
But I do thank you for your comments.
Okay. Well, I'll yield the remainder of my time.
Thank you. Thread of lunch.
Chair recognizes Representative Moore from Jefferson.
Operates. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My concern always, I think that business and the more businesses we bring to Alabama, the better. I think it's even better when we recruit businesses that we look at those counties that don't have a strong tax base to put those businesses in. But at the end of the day, with all of the incentives and everything that we do, I still encourage us to get feedback to did we benefit from the incentives we gave them. If we're doing tax abatements, I think that's the number one thing with everything that we do across the board, trying to bring more businesses into Alabama. If we get the appropriate feedback, then we can know which businesses we need to still try to recruit for different counties that really need strong tax bases. And in some cases, we could take 2 counties and recruit a strong business too. But if it benefits that county, it benefits the state, like you say, all the different groups that we have that'll benefit from this is good. But I still encourage us to make sure we got a strong feedback process in place.
And I think that we will, and I think that we do. But I'm anxious to see us put investments in these and the fruit that it'll bear, because when you hear quality of life, that's a major factor for relocating a business to Alabama. We want to make sure that we are putting our best foot forward and that we have that quality of life, and we want them to get off the interstate to turn on the Highway 72 and see that. So I think a lot of our communities across the state here will benefit for these grants. In particular, you know, again, as I drove around when I was running for election the first time, I didn't have an opponent. I was very fortunate with that. But every weekend I would load up and I would go to South Alabama. I would go to all these other counties that I'd never been to, Bullock. And I would be surprised at the lack of economic development there and the lot. So I live in a blessed area in Huntsville, Alabama. Many of us live in a blessed area, but not all of Alabama lives in a blessed area.
And we need to look out for them.
So we want to make sure that we are promoting the entire state, and that's what this bill will help do.
And could I ask and for the powers that be, at some point in time, especially when new businesses come in, if the body can receive some type of feedback so that we can know that the companies we're giving incentives to, we can see for ourselves. And what it does for us, it gives us that opportunity to go out into our districts and explain how it benefits everybody. And like I said, some of us are blessed to be from areas that are pretty stable as far as businesses, but we have far too many counties that aren't. And they need the stability that the larger counties have. But I would request that at some point we all can get some type of report so that we can see and be able to spread that good news throughout the state.
I agree, and I'll be glad to share anything that I receive.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Washington County, Mr. Easterbrook.
Gentleman yield?
Yeah, absolutely.
Tax incentives started in the state of Tennessee. That's who started this game. And it probably wasn't the best idea. But once it started, if you want to play, you have to compete. Incentives are not a giveaway. They encourage businesses to locate in our areas, but the return on investment is high. It's well worth doing. The ThyssenKrupp was mentioned. I delivered the first check, the property tax check for ThyssenKrupp. The taxes were abated till the plant was up and running. It was $25 million to the Mobile County School Board.
Wow.
The wages were $100 million a year they paid taxes on every year. A lot of the incentives that were supposedly the $2 billion were never even used. The return on investment was high. Rural Alabama has not seen the effects of it near like the larger areas because we don't have the money to put up to get these returns. They talk about the sales and use tax abatement. Most of the time, all sales and use tax are not abated. That's only a portion of it. But the income from the wages and salaries are used to buy goods and services, and they're paying sales and use tax on that. The impact in 2009 and 10, when the economy was in a disaster from ThyssenKrupp in that part of the world, was huge. We didn't know there was a recession. There was no lack of jobs. At the peak of construction, there was 28,000 construction workers per day working on that site. 3,600 acres. It's huge. And now it is profitable and paying the taxes that even the income tax. They will soon be paying that once they get through the the lost carry forwards. And that should happen this year on the stainless steel side. I don't know, I can't speak for the carbon steel side. But we need to quit looking at it as a giveaway. We don't give them anything. We reduce their taxes to get them here, but the taxes we received is money we would not have received had they not have come here.
That's correct.
But the rural areas, they usually don't have the money to put up front to incentivize business. Come here. So I think this is great, and my district is very rural. District when it comes to welders, electricians, plumbers, and it's all over rural Alabama. And economic development, we keep pushing people to move to the bigger areas. It's time we start pushing businesses to your rural areas and let the people stay at home and work. They were talking about trying to get people off the unemployment and people driving 20 miles. People in my district drive 70 miles to get to work. They work in Mobile and Baldwin County. They're willing to drive to live in rural Alabama as long as they can find a job. So I appreciate this effort, and I want to thank you.
Thank you, Representative.
Chair recognizes
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With Jim and you.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to bring awareness and thank you for this bill because I represent rural areas, and two of my particular areas, well, actually three, what I would say rural and development. One is Bibb County. That's one end of the county is doing really great and everything like that, but the southern end needs some work, and some of the. And then I have Hale County, which has one industry, Westerville Lumber Company, and we are working in purpose that the Western Corridor will help bring economic development. And we don't even have an industrial park in this development. And then in Greene County, we do have an industrial park, and really one of the bills that we passed last year in Mr. Canfield and them, they worked to make sure that funds were, grants were given to help them make improvements in the industrial development part to help. So, but we are lacking money. We are lacking fundings to really help recruit, to help bring in and help develop. So this bill is money put aside. If it's treated fairly, that's us little people, who don't have the resource, will have an opportunity to bring in. People don't understand, when you bring an industry to my counties, if they employ 50 folks, that's a big deal. It is. Whereas, over there, that may not think, but for us, 50 people is a big deal, and we keep them locally and stuff like that, and so even helping folks expand. So it is really a big deal. So if we can find us ways to get this bill passed and to get those dollars flowing in, and make sure that, and part of the Rural Alabama Rural Caucus Steering Board, I'm just so happy that we can put something in place to make funds available that I can go back and say, well, yeah, we got some, the state has some place now where we can go and get funds to help make things happen, and working with the other industries and stuff like that. I just think it's a wonderful deal in my parts of the area and everything. So I appreciate you.
Well, again, I'm very excited about the opportunity for rural Alabama, and I certainly think it'll pay great dividends out.
Well, we need it, and I thank you so much for it.
question for the body's final passage of HB 243. The clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Have all the members voted? The clerk will lock the machine and record the vote. Record Mr. Shedd's final vote with us here on the floor of the Alabama House of Representatives. 100 yeas, 2 nays. HB 243 passes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Jefferson, Mr. Sellers, for a 3-minute point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the recognition. But colleagues, we have 2 members that have immediate health concerns, and we would like to offer prayer for them today. One is our leader Daniels and also Sam Jones. If there are any other ministers here, you can come and join us here with us. Any other members that would like to? Here come Travis. Let us pray. God, we thank you for just this day. And Lord, this time of sharing. But Lord, we know that all things work together for the good, for those that are called. Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to call upon your name, because your name is high. Your name is powerful. Lord, you're omniscient. You know everything, and you have all power. Lord, we lift these 2 of our colleagues up to you. Lord, only you can heal them. We thank you in advance as we celebrate their healing for their immediate health concerns. God, allow our faith to be increased in this place continuously, and allow their names to be lifted upon our hearts and upon our lips as we call on you. Lord, give us traveling grace and arriving mercies to where we can meet again. In Jesus' name, amen.
The chair recognizes. Ms. Moore, are you seeking a point of personal privilege? Chair recognizes you for a 3-minute point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And the reason I'm here is because I want us to pay closer attention to the issues that are unfolding in Washington, because in the state of Alabama, we have a lot of federal installations. And as we look to the possibility of people being laid off and funds being cut, I would just want us to at least keep our eyes on it so this state can be prepared to see how we deal with those issues. Because across this state, we have in Huntsville a lot of federal employees. In the city of Birmingham, not only do we have federal employees, but we got the University of Alabama and its research program. We got research program for health care in Huntsville. If they're going to lose some of their funding, then that impacts the state of Alabama in so many different ways that we can't imagine, from losing the funds that come back to the state, from losing those people employment that's going to have an impact on housing, that's going to have an impact on health care, that's going to have impact on a lot of different funding sources that has to come from the state. So I'm just asking the body, I know a lot of people are not paying me much attention, but if some of these things come to fruition, this is the body that's going to have to deal with it, and we need to be prepared and have that thought process in our minds, that on how we deal with the loss of federal dollars. When we look at the number of federal dollars we get per dollar that the state of Alabama sends to Washington in taxes, and what we recoup from it, is a major part of what we spend in our budget. And on top of that, with education, on top of that, like I said again, people losing their jobs. We're going to have people losing their houses. We're going to have people losing their health insurance. So I ask us to just be watchful and be prepared that we can help Alabamians out when they have to go through this time, a rough time in their life when they thought their jobs were secure, that we be prepared to help them out. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Lee, Mr. Lovin, for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the House stand adjourned.
All in favor say aye. All opposed? Ayes have it.